You're listening to BL in the Air. My name is Chy,
And my name is Alex.
and today we are going to be talking about some BL royalty, in my opinion.
Yes.
This it's one of the first BLs that I've watched, at least, and it's one of our early favorites, and it is of course Bad Buddy. But before we get into that, Alex, what's in the air with you today?
Okay, perfect 10 liners. I need you to start watching.
I know.
I need to talk about it. So,
Yeah.
yesterday's episode, a lot happened. Like, a lot. And,
Okay.
like, a lot of people are really mad at this one character. Like, it's, like, super mad. Like, everyone's like, screw this character. He's awful. He's such a red flag. And I'm like, is he, though? I'm like, I don't think he is.
Hmm.
Like yes, he did something wrong. Like full stop, he did something wrong. But also, like the main thing he did wrong in this situation, he didn't actually do anything. There's a
Hmm.
misunderstanding, right? And as soon as they talk about the misunderstanding, it's gonna get cleared up and it's gonna be fine. Um,
I feel like so often I see those like TikToks where it's like BL characters and like what color flag they are, and then just like any character that has any amount of flaws at all, they give like a yellow or a red flag. And
right?
I'm like, just because they're like human and they've made a couple mistakes, it
Okay.
doesn't make them like a bad person, you know?
Okay. If I take my bias out, the flag is tinted red,
Yeah.
right? Like, but it is not like as red as like my shirt, you know? Like which hey, there's video now. You can actually see that.
Yeah.
Um but like so it's not that red.
Mm.
So I'm like, okay, maybe he's not the best person, but like I also understand why he's not, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, ugh, I have compassion. I don't know. But also he's hot and I'm biased. Apparently when you're hot, I just don't care.
Yeah, that is kind of the way it goes.
It
Also,
is.
I love like villains or like, not great characters who aren't great people as well. Like that's not going to stop me from liking a character a lot of the times.
No. It just it's hard to explain since one it's airing. I don't want to ruin it for anybody even though yeah, it'll still be airing by the time this comes out because it's never gonna end. But like okay, because of who it involves, like it makes sense why everybody's a little more up in arms. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's been such a good show, and I thought after Force Book was over, I thought I was good, I was done. I was like, I don't care anymore. Um,
Yeah.
and I didn't know Alan Boom were gonna be in this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I think originally there was like a rumor that they were going to be like the third main couple. I think after like Chimon left the project, I
Oh
think
yeah.
people were like, "Oh, Ao and Boom are going to take over for that completely." But I think yeah, they just ended up being like side characters.
So yeah, they're side characters with Perth and Santa,
Okay,
and
cool.
that's
I mean, I love them, so
yeah. Oh, it's been interesting because they're also maybe not the greatest people.
mhm.
One
Okay.
of them more than the other is okay, but one of them is kind of a red flag. Uh,
This is like a fairly realistic show, right? Cuz it's like a college drama.
yeah, I would say so. It's
Okay.
yeah, I mean it's pretty slice of life,
Okay.
honestly, of just basic like college nonsense.
Yeah.
Um, we've hit spring semester of the school year, so but yeah, it's I honestly, you know how much I hate college shows,
Mhm.
and I this is honestly the one I look forward to the most every week.
Yeah.
Which,
I should watch it because you always have such good things to say.
right, I'm gonna laugh if you hate it for some reason and be
Yeah,
like, Alex, what the hell?
that's okay. I
Yeah,
honestly I like college shows, so I don't really.
yeah,
I haven't. I don't know. I'm like expecting good things going into it now. I'll probably like it.
yeah. Because like I mean, I will say like I look forward to Heart Killers every week, but also I'm like I see that we're nearing the end, and I think that's stressing me. That's why I'm like I'm not looking forward to every episode. I'm like drag it out, drag it out. Let me suffer for a while.
I know. Me too. I'm thinking of the ways it can go wrong in just the last couple episodes.
Yeah, because we have 4 episodes left, I think, and
Yeah.
I don't want it to end.
Me neither.
Because I think it's gonna be a while before we get the Jung Dunk or the first Katong cat show.
Hmm.
So, but what's in there with you, Shy?
Well, okay, so last week I talked about all of the like ongoing airing Thai BLs I'm watching right now, and I'm like still watching those. But I also rewatched all of Death Note,
Oh, really?
which, yeah, which I think it's a BL. I'm just gonna say it.
The anime, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I've
If L and Light are not in a gay relationship together,
It's a bromance.
yeah, it really is. But
Yeah.
yeah, I
I
was. Have you seen it?
I've only seen parts of it. I have some of the books too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So like I know enough of the plot of it, and I know that there's some weird shipping something with those
yeah.
two. I watched the Netflix show.
Oh, the live action one?
Yeah, it's so bad.
Is it? I was I skipped that. I was like,
It's I had hope because it was Netflix, right?
mm,
I had so much hope. And then for the monster dude, I can't remember his name.
Ryuk.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
them they got Willem Dafoe,
Oh,
right? Right?
my
I was like,
hometown homie.
"Oh, is he? That's
Yeah.
awesome." So, like, he played such a good villain in like the original Spider-Man movie.
Yeah,
I
he
was
did.
so excited. I was like, he's perfect for this role, right? And
Hmm.
it was such a bad movie. I'm like, how do you cast Willem Dafoe and then do
No.
that?
Yeah, I heard it wasn't great,
No,
and
it was
I feel
so
like a lot
bad.
of times live actions of anime just always strike out, so I would just like skip that completely.
One Piece is the only good one.
I've heard that actually.
Yeah, One
I
Piece
just
is
don't think
solid.
I'm ready to get into One Piece because I know how much time that's gonna take up.
Yeah,
So,
I fell hard for One Piece with the live action and
hmm,
immediately jumped into the anime, but then I got distracted by BL, so it was fine. I made it like a
yeah,
season in.
yeah, I know. Yeah, with Death Note, I like. I mean, I like. I think I read the manga first for the
Hmm.
first time when I was like 14, probably, and watched the anime, and then I literally have never watched it again until now. So it's been
Nice.
fun to kind of rewatch everything. Yeah, I love Misa. She's the best.
I don't know
I
who that
know
is.
she's like the girl. She's like the hot goth blonde girl.
I, I love that immediately.
Yeah, I love her. It sucks because you're definitely not supposed to like her. Like the show is
Okay.
definitely extremely misogynistic. Like there was one episode where like Misa did she like hugged Elle or something, or not Elle, she hugged Light, the main character, and
Mhm.
he was like his internal monologue, it literally was like, never in my life have I wanted to hit a woman until now.
Oh my God,
And I'm watching it
dude.
with my boyfriend, and we're both just like, what the fuck? You can't say that.
It was a different
So,
era.
yeah, it was. But I love Misa, and yeah, take that, writers.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been wanting to get back into Death Note because I wanted to finish it because
Hmm.
it's fun.
Yeah, I would say it's not worth finishing. There's
Oh,
a thing that happens, and I know this show came out 20 years ago, but I'm not going to spoil. But there's one big thing that happens like 2/3 of the way into the show, and after that, it's like really not worth finishing, which is sad because it's so good until then. But yeah, it's definitely worth watching though.
did you know there's a my anime list that's just like my drama list?
Yeah, and I've been on my anime list for probably a good 10 years longer than I've been on my
Nice.
drama list.
I found it on accident when I was trying to look up something on my drama list. I somehow ended up on my anime list. I'm like, what did? Oh, this would have been
Yeah,
useful a long time ago.
I know. I wonder, I kind of want to see how old my anime list account is. Sorry, give me one second.
All good.
I've been using it lately because I've been watching a little bit more anime.
Yeah, I
Oh
haven't
yeah, I
watched the
joined 2014. So,
nice.
yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah, I haven't watched a whole lot of anime. It's one of those I pick up sporadically, but all the shows are always so long. I think.
Yeah, I kind of shy away from the shows that are really long, but there's
Hmm.
a few anime that are like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is one of my favorite shows of all time. Same with like Evangelion, I really love, and there's a bunch more. But
Yeah. Inuyasha was always my go-to. That's my comfort show.
I need to watch Inuyasha. I've been like I keep seeing things about it recently for no reason. And I'm like, I should
I
watch
have
it.
I have a little Inu on the desk behind me.
Oh,
Yeah, my little desk buddy.
cute.
I have an unnatural attachment to him and his ears.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I'll put that on the list. But
Yeah, that one's really good. And then I watched Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z as a kid, but
mm,
I watched the abridged version because I could not handle the full show.
that's honestly so fair.
Yeah, because the fact that it took like 30 episodes to like power up somebody,
Yeah.
I was like, I can't do this, guys.
Yeah, that's kind of why I dropped the newer one, like My Hero Academia. Um,
Hmm.
I watched like a good amount of that show. It's super popular, but like the pacing was, I was just like, I can't do this because it would be like 30 episodes would be like 10 minutes of a fight. And then the next episode would be like 4 years later. And I'd be like,
What?
oh my God, like I can't, like I just spent 30 episodes breaking down every millisecond. And then
Yeah,
now it's like 2 months later, you know?
yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But
when somebody showed me the abridged version, I was like, oh, I can watch this because I love Goku and I love Vegeta.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I also, Ellen Light, they're little, the enemies, not to
Hmm.
lovers, but in my mind to lovers. But also kind of giving bad buddy vibes.
Hmm.
To a major extreme, but
Yeah.
I love some enemies to lovers angst, and
Yes.
that's what we're getting today.
Yes. So I guess we can get straight into it.
Mhm.
Oh man, it's our first show we're covering on the season.
Yeah,
Um, so Bad Buddy aired in October to January, so from the 2021 to 2022. So a little older, but not that old.
yeah.
Um, it's fun seeing some faces in there that we recognize.
I know. I feel like in BL standards, though, this is like old now.
Yeah,
You
for
know, like
sure.
this is like 2021. I feel like is when they just started making a good amount, and then
Yeah.
ever since then, it's really taken off. So
There's so many BLs that come out every year. Like it's impossible to keep up. Like all I
yeah,
watch is BL right now, and I still can't keep up with anything.
no, but yeah, I feel like before 2020, there's only like a few like
Yeah,
Thai BLs, and then after there was like a huge explosion. So
yeah. It's GMMTV, which is who did Bad Buddy, is just going strong with it.
mm,
I will say in Bad Buddy, I love how much advertising is in this show.
it's crazy. This show has, I think they're only maybe beat out by vice versa in terms of how many ads there are.
See, I don't even remember that many being in vice versa
Oh,
because they
really?
have like they cover like the spectrum in this one too, and like
That's true. Honestly, I think maybe there's a lot of ads in the show, but I feel like they're integrated pretty well.
yeah,
Whereas like I mean it's like obvious it's an ad, but it's still kind of like moving things
yeah,
forward. Like it'll be like I mean the famous one we'll
yeah,
probably get to is like the printer like sponsorship, which is like ridiculous. But
yeah. That one's
you
out
will
of
get
place,
see
but
yeah, you will get scenes where it's like, "Hey, come over and help me fix my printer." With
I came over so you can take my makeup off for me with this Nivea like micellar water.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we got the full spectrum in this one.
yeah, I was cracking up every time I saw like a new one. I was like, another one.
I know, but I will say they just took the show off of YouTube, which I'm
Yeah,
pissed about because that was the thing that kind of justified the ads to me, where it was like, okay, it's free to watch, anyone can watch it on YouTube, and the trade-off is that they need to have these sponsorships in order to produce the show, and
hmm,
so I was like okay with it then, but if now you have to go to like a paid subscription service to watch the show and you have to watch all of like the advertisements in the show, it's like okay, that makes a little less sense.
yeah. I don't know what's going on with GMMTV with that because they've taken a lot of shows off of YouTube suddenly, and so it
Yeah.
started last fall, like early winter. They took the eclipse off. Like right
Mm.
when the eclipse, I think it was one of the music videos or something, it like hit like a huge milestone. And instead of celebrating that, they took the show off of YouTube and everyone was like, "Are you kidding me right now? Like, what is this timing, guys?"
Yeah.
But it came back onto YouTube like shortly after. So I don't know what that was about. But now I know Bad Buddy came off and my school president came off. I think vice versa came off. Um,
Damn.
a Boss and a Babe, I think, or Enchante. One of the Force book ones I know for sure came off. So I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they're gonna push for like another platform, like a GMM TV platform, which God help us.
That's kind of what I'm thinking,
Yeah,
but I don't know. We'll see. It's hard because they have like other shows, like Heart Killers is on Aichi right now.
yeah. But it's also on YouTube. It's just the uncut version is on iQIYI.
Oh, okay.
So, but the cut
But
version's
isn't
on
like
YouTube.
Kidnap as
Yeah.
well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kidnap was never on YouTube. It was only
Mm,
on iQIYI.
yeah.
Um, so I
So we'll
don't
see.
I'm like I guess for like if we're going with like spicier or more violent or something like that cuz like Kidnap had a lot of fighting in it, but also like the Heart Killers is still on YouTube. It's assassins, right?
Yeah.
Like there's violence. Um, and I haven't heard too much about what the difference between the cut and uncut version is. I think the first couple episodes there wasn't really a difference. Um,
Yeah. I don't know what they're doing, but I was
so
so sad to see it taken off YouTube. So,
yeah. So I know Bad Buddy's still on Viki. I don't know if it's paywalled or not.
hmm.
Because I pay for Viki, so.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't because some of their shows aren't paywalled. You just have like ads or something. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Well, anyway, should we give a short
yeah,
summary, I guess, for
yeah,
people? I this is gonna have spoilers in it, regardless, but
yeah.
just
If
so
you're
you
new
know.
here, this whole episode is spoilers.
Yeah, we're gonna literally just go through everything that happens in the show.
Yeah. So okay. So as a short summary to kind of go over everything is you have the two characters, Pat and Prawn. And their families have hated each other for a very long time. There's a very long-standing rivalry, and so Pat and Prawn like grew up having to compete in everything in school because, of course, they live next door to each other, right? And long story short, eventually they kind of get tired of it, and despite the family rivalry, become friends and then lovers, of course, because it's a
Yay.
BL. um, so I guess to start with. Um, Let me turn Discord off. Um, to start with, you have the cast. So as our two leads of Prawn is Nanon and Pat is Ohm. Their chemistry is impeccable. Um,
It's electric, this whole show.
it is from like the first scene.
Hmm.
Um, so but then some of the side characters, we have some very familiar ones. Um, we have Y, who is played by Jimmy. We have Corn, who is played by Drake, who is in everything.
Yeah.
And then we have, I did not realize until about halfway through the show that this was Milk Love.
Yeah.
But we have Ink played by Milk and Pa played by Love. And so Pa is going to be Pat's younger sister.
Hmm.
We also, I don't have his name of his character written down here, but Mark is also in this.
Yeah, he's
Who is
like one of the
also in
side
everything.
friends
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, he's one of the other friends. Because so Pat and Prawn have like two friend groups, right? Or they each have a friend group, and so like Jimmy is in one of them, and like Drake is in the other one. But I think Mark is with Jimmy, right? No, Mark is with
Uh,
Drake.
yeah, Marcus with Drake.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you don't really see Mark nearly as much. It's the like Y and Corn are like the two closest friends to each of them, so they're the
Hmm.
ones kind of in everything. Um,
Yeah.
so, but yeah, that's to get us started, so we can jump right into the first episode. Um,
Here we go.
I'm so excited. The show is so much fun to rewatch.
It really is. I never ever get sick of this show. It like every time I watch it, it makes me feel so good. So,
Yeah.
but we start episode
Huh?
1.
Yep.
We get a little taste of Pat and Pran's rivalry. So, they kind of just explain that like their parents, they live next door to each other. They've had this rivalry since birth. They don't know why, but basically their children has been raised to like compete with one another. And so, of course, Pat and Prawn, they're in college. They're in two separate faculties. So they're in engineering and architecture,
Yes.
respectively. And
Because of course
they're
there's no other major.
no, there's no other majors at all. And of course now their faculties are also rivals. So,
Because of course.
yeah. So it's bigger than them now. So it's like their parents, their university, and like so that's why they're rivals, basically.
What's interesting though is it's two unrelated rivalries, right?
Hmm.
So because Pat and Prawn have decided in college to pretend like they don't know each other. So the rivalries
Yeah.
don't know, like the school rivalries don't know that this has been like a long standing thing for them.
Yeah. And Pat's sister, Pa, she's kind of excluded from this rivalry. She's just like really sweet and stuff, but she kind of makes Pat promise that he's not gonna hurt Prawn anymore, and we'll find out reasons why later, but she has kind of like a soft spot for him. And basically then immediately after, Pat's friends, they kind of tail Prawn's friend Y around to beat him up, and like Pat follows Prawn to sign up for this like freshman concert thing at the same time. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
So Pat is like following Prawn because he doesn't want to, like, he's trying to keep him basically distracted so that he doesn't get involved in the fight,
Mhm.
because of the rivalry between the two friend groups. It's like he's gonna let his friend go beat up Y, but protect Prawn in the process.
Yeah.
It's so messy.
It is. I also am like, you guys are in college. Why are you beating people up?
Right? Because it's like no one else in the school is like this. It's just these two stupid departments. Like, guys,
It's not
chill.
even like their departments. It's like just these two friend groups, I
Yeah.
feel. Like I've not seen anyone else beat each other up in this show.
No. No, it's I know towards the end, like the whole architectural department is like
Mm,
absolutely not. You can't like interact with us, and like the engineering one is like the same, and like
yeah.
so they don't like each other, but like also they're like leaving each other alone. Like, you stay your end, I'll stay mine, and we're good. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, no, it just these dumb boys, these dumb freshman boys. Um,
They're taking it upon themselves to just like brawl it out after
yeah.
lecture.
So So Pat kind of fails at his job of protecting Prawn though, because Prawn like goes back to like the architectural like part where like all of Pat's friends are already waiting, and they think that it's Y from behind, and it's not. So they like attack him immediately, and so of course he's getting beat up out of nowhere.
Hmm.
Um, and it's Prawn is getting like it's 3-1 on Prawn, and like Pat somehow like comes in and rescues him while they're like chasing Pat because he or yeah chasing Prawn,
Hmm.
while he's getting away, and Pat like drags him into like an empty hallway and lets the people run by. It's very Scooby Doo type.
It is.
um. So and then so they're like hiding now, and we get our first flashback because we get a few of these, and
Hmm.
it's basically a flashback when they're all kids and Pat and his sister are like riding a bicycle, and they stop at a lake, and then Prawn shows up and they're like talking, and Pat's like, you gotta go, this is my, like, I'm here first, it's my
It's
turf,
my
and they're
turf.
right, and they're like, they look like they're like 7, right?
Mm.
Like I think they're probably like 9 or something like that, but whatever. And then for whatever reason, I don't understand what happened, but for whatever reason, Pa just yeets herself in the water or something. I don't know why, and immediately starts drowning. I don't understand why she just went like head first into the water.
I don't either. I didn't watch closely enough for this, but yeah.
And Pat freezes, and Prawn like literally just jumps in and immediately saves her.
Hmm.
Um, which is why Pa has like a special place for him because he's saved her, and so that's why she's like, you're not allowed to hurt him, basically.
Yeah.
um, and then we're back to present day, and Prawn is like in his room, and Pat sneaks in. Their houses have to be so close together. Like, it's kind of hard to gauge like when you're looking, but he just because he's constantly doing this.
Yeah, I want to say like Pat's roof and um like Pran's balcony kind of butt up against each other or
Yeah.
something. So yeah.
Yeah, there's some sort of slope thing, so it's not too hard to do. But Pat is doing this constantly. And so Pat does this, and he's like, "How are we gonna end this conflict between the two groups?" Because like neither of the like honestly, even at this point, you can already tell like they're rivals, but they don't really want to be. Like
Their
it's really
heart's not in
obvious.
it.
No. Um. So they come up with like a plan on how to end the conflict, but that plan fails so hard. Like immediately fails.
Hmm.
So because the plan was that they were gonna like set up for a fake fight, and and then Prawn was gonna apologize for Y, right? And then
Hmm.
that was gonna be Y wasn't gonna take that because Y is prideful, and so he was gonna apologize on his own, and it was gonna be fine. They were gonna be over it, right? And so that's exactly what happens. But then, Corn is like absolutely not, and like throws a punch.
Yeah. And then they just all start fighting again.
Yeah.
And
So now,
I love how they're just standing in the middle, like, what do we do?
yeah.
And they have to like pretend to fight each other.
Yep. And then somebody like falls and like hits the fire alarm, so they all scatter, of course. But they get caught anyway, and so they get in trouble for it. And they're like, if you fight one more time, you're not gonna get to go to the freshie whatever the concert thing that they signed up for. And so they're like, okay, we'll behave, right? So
Hmm.
that's Pat and Brown's thing is we're gonna behave. It's fine. It's over. Um, so we flash forward later at night, and it's really funny. So they Pat goes to the pharmacy to go get some like um medication because I think Prawn hit him like twice. Um,
Yeah.
so he's like, I'm gonna go get some medication, whatever. And the pharmacist is off, like the director.
I love when the directors like give themselves a little cameo.
Yeah, is he the director of the show?
I think so.
Yes, he is. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so I thought that was hilarious. I was like, wait a second, I know you.
That's funny. Yeah, I wouldn't have like recognized him at all.
Yeah. Um, and then after that, both the boys go back to their dorms, and that is where we learn, but they don't learn, that they are neighbors across from each other in the hallway. Um, Fate is so funny.
Yeah. Oh God, I wish I could watch this show again for the very first time.
I will say that is what this show felt like for me watching it this weekend for
Oh.
this. I there's certain things that I knew were gonna happen again. Like I remember like the scene, right?
Mhm.
Episode 5, right? I remember that one.
Yeah.
Um, and there was like one other scene that I like very clearly remembered and nothing else. I was like,
Okay.
I don't remember any of the
That's
show. I was like,
kind of ideal.
right? I so like while I was watching again, like there were certain scenes where I was like crying and I'm like, oh my God, I am in it right now.
Yeah, I will say we're like reading the plot points, but what makes this show so good is like all of the little like flirty interactions
Oh,
in between, like that happens in between the plot.
yeah.
So it's like I'm sure like our ability to describe it just like isn't gonna do it justice
No.
because it's really like what's between the lines in this show that makes it like so lovable.
So like Pat is constantly flirting with Prawn. Like
Hmm.
for no reason. Like there's not even that he has like feelings for him at this point, or at least not that he's aware of. He's just flirting because he can.
Yeah.
Um,
He's just like a very playful person.
he is.
And he's
He's
just
very
constantly
golden
playing.
retriever.
Yeah.
He is the most golden retriever. Which I don't know how much you know about Ohm. That man is a golden retriever in real life.
Is he?
He is.
Yeah,
He's
I don't
so
know
fun.
that much about him
So he
IRL.
has two golden retrievers,
Oh yeah. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And like I swear every other day or like every few days I'll open like Instagram and it's him dancing with his dogs. Like it's his like good morning dance. It's like him walking down the stairs and like
Hmm.
dancing down the stairs. It's the goofiest thing. It is very Pat, honestly. Like it is
Yeah.
exactly what I would expect out of Pat. I'm like, how much are you this character?
I will say it genuinely doesn't feel like either of them are acting at all. Like
No.
I swear there's so many little scenes where they're just kind of like playing around and like messing around with each other, and I guarantee you the director was probably just you guys just like do whatever you want, do whatever's like natural, because it
Yeah.
it feels this whole show feels so like natural and
Hmm.
like it genuinely doesn't feel like I'm watching a show, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely I it really is such a fun show to watch because of that, because their chemistry is so good. But I agree. I don't know how much of this is them acting because
Hmm.
of what happened last month.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Um, so not to get into the drama side of things, but we had a standoff during the Star Olympics of Nanon and
Hmm.
and it looked like straight out of the show.
Oh my god. It looked like they literally there was like a rugby scene and I was like
Mhm.
this is what happened last month at the Star Olympics.
Yeah,
Like
it was one
the
of
two
those.
of
It
them
was
like facing off and like kind of, egging each other on. I was
mhm.
like, "Oh, this is like
Hands on their hips. Like it was the exact pose, and I was like, "What are you guys doing?"
I know it was killing me." And that's when I'm like, "Okay, that like kind of just must come naturally to them cuz
Yeah, that
yeah, this
is.
whole show just feels like so comfortable."
Mm-hmm. So a lot of the first episode is kind of developing what everyone's relationships with each other are, but it's at the same time, Pat is literally the most playful person I've ever seen in a show.
Yeah.
He's just here to tease everybody he can.
Yeah.
So, with episode two, it opens with a montage of their morning routines, right? So Pat Prawn is very meticulous with his. He gets up with his alarm and he showers and he cooks a full breakfast and it's just very like here's my schedule. I will follow my schedule type of a thing. And then Pat is the one hitting the snooze 50,000 times and he's like sprawled out on his bed and he basically like rolls out of bed and barely gets dressed and brushes his teeth before he's like on his way out the door to class. I am Pat.
Not a
I have
morning
always been
person.
Pat. No. I have I think like 15 alarms set right now
Oh my god.
and I still wake up late for work
Uh,
every day.
I set one, but I'm like a really late sleeper, but it's awful because I'm constantly just like waking up because of like no reason.
Oh, no.
But
I am when I was a kid, my mom used to vacuum in my bedroom because she knew I wouldn't wake up.
that's
Like she would
crazy.
just do her chores that she wanted to do for the day and just move on with life.
Oh my god. The automatic cat feeder goes off in the other room, and I like wake up every morning.
Yeah, I so what has helped me is I have one of those like say like daylight simulators. So that
Yeah,
helps especially in the winter when it's too dark.
right.
Because definitely like even if I open my eyes and it is dark outside, I'm like, oh, I can go back to sleep, even though like sunrise isn't until almost 8 o'clock here.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to be at work at 8. Luckily, we have a flex schedule, so like I roll in between 8:30 and 9, and nobody cares.
Yeah.
Um, but also I stay late because of that. Um, I
Hmm.
did good today. I got in at 8:15.
Oh wow, that's impressive.
Right? Right? It's because it was MLK Day.
Yeah.
To date this day, but there's no traffic.
Yeah,
I
that's
had
true.
I had green lights the whole way down. Um, but yeah, so it was watching Pat like just I was like, this is literally my life. I'm like, I roll out of bed, I brush my teeth, I brush my hair, and I like make a coffee on the go, and that's
Yeah,
it.
respectable.
Um, yeah, I mean, it works.
Hmm.
Um, so so then we get kind of like another montage. So we get the montage of their routines to just kind of drive home how different they are, right?
Yeah.
And then we get this montage of them like literally just doing everything they can to keep their friend groups away. They're constantly like texting each other of like, I'm going to this restaurant today. Um, and like, of course, that's the same day the other group is like, oh, I'm on my way. And they're like, I'm almost done with my meal. Like,
Yeah. You gotta go
that's
somewhere
tough.
else.
Tough like so like it was Prawn was at the restaurant and so Pat had to like come up with like a way which had been so expensive for him because his like way out every time was I'll buy lunch.
Literally, yeah. He's very dedicated, at least.
Yeah, and or like they'd run into each other in like the library and like have to like distract each other while they're like, "Oh, let's go. We don't want to be here after all," type of a thing.
It's a lot of shenanigans. And honestly,
Yeah,
this show is so, like, it's so comedic. Like,
it
it's
is.
genuinely really funny.
Mhm. Watching them struggle to like keep their friend groups away because
Hmm.
it's like literally can't be in the vicinity of each other. Like it's kind of ridiculous. Like
It's
you're at
crazy.
college, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's one thing. So from how what I've seen in like the college shows is like it's almost like the different like departments have like everything they need there besides maybe like a communal like library or something like that. But it's like it seems like they each have their own like cafeterias and stuff like that. So it's
Hmm.
very rare for you to need to mingle with like a different department. It's just what I've seen. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but it's what it's felt like. And so it's one of those. It's like okay, I get if they're like on your turf type of a thing. Like, why are you at the architectural like cafeteria when you have the engineering one or whatever? Like, okay, whatever, sure. But like, if you're at the library that everybody's at, just shut up. Just deal
Also,
with
it's
it,
a library, so be quiet. Like,
right?
that's like the
Like,
last place anyone should be fighting.
right, that's so dumb. But
Yeah.
like they literally can't exist in the same area.
No.
Um, so, but then the big problem comes in is the two groups meet at a bus stop because, of course, of the whole university, they have to use the same bus stop, right? And so Pat and Prawn come up with this really bullshit story. I think Prawn was the one that like started it of like the bus stop is this truce area because the two departments built it together, right?
Mm.
And so you're not allowed to do that. The real story is there's CCTV. So
Mm-hmm. He's a quick thinker.
yeah, I kind of got the impression that maybe the two departments did build it together, it sounded like, but like that there was no truce thing. Like the problem was their CCTV.
Yeah.
Um
He's like, yeah, I made it up.
yeah. So we have that. And then this entire time Pat and Prawn have not figured out that they live next door to each other.
I
Um
love this plot line.
this was so funny.
Hmm.
So we see this from Prawn's point of view. Where he gets like a food delivery. And he's so just dumb about it. It's so funny because he's honestly like a really smart person, but he gets his order and all of a sudden it's like a fried chicken order and then there's like a salad in it and he just kind of like looks at it and goes, I guess free salad.
Mm.
Um, I personally my first thought literally would have been, wrong order.
Yeah.
But I think I'm more used to getting wrong orders. I don't know. But he just chows down on the salad. And this was so funny because then by the time he's done like scarfing down all of the food, like he ate his chicken and the thing before the delivery guy calls back and is like, "Hey, I gave you the wrong order. It's to the person across the hallway from you." And
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh, I already ate it." Um,
Oopsie.
so as an apology, we get one of our early advertisements of 3 bottles of Oishi,
Mm.
green tea. And he does that with like a note on like, I'm sorry, this is my payment for eating your salad and leaves it on the door. Like, and I think he knocks and then just goes back in his room, right? Um, and so then Pat opens the door and he's on the phone with the delivery guy. He goes, oh, and then it's like whatever. And he sees the thing and he sees Fran's handwriting is so like neat.
Yeah.
Which is impressive how neat it is. Like regardless, because like Thai is really hard to write.
Yeah.
It's I
I, c- I
I
can't.
could not. No. Maybe one day I'll learn how to write it. I have the keyboard on my phone now so that I can learn to type it, but the writing's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so Pat is like, "Oh, it's a girl." And because it's 3 of these, she's interested in me all of a sudden. Like that's his immediate thought. And
As
so
if
he's
this person has even like seen him, you know?
right? Right, like he's immediately like in love with this mystery girl.
Mm.
And so he's just like going on about it like to his friends and whatever, and they're like, "Oh yeah, she's hitting on you." And it's like, "Guys, why are you all dumb?"
Yeah, it's like a sticky note with like a couple words.
Right? It's, "I'm sorry I ate your salad. Here's some drinks."
Yeah.
And so then in return, Prawn leaves a thank you on, or excuse me, Pat leaves a thank you on Prawn's door. Uh, and now Prawn's friends think somebody's hitting on him on top of it. So you have both like friend groups going, "Oh yeah, whoever this is into you."
Yeah, and the message that Pran got, it like used like a male particle or
Yeah,
something. So they know that whoever gave that message to Pran is a man, but Pat's friends think the person that gave him the message is a girl just because the
yeah.
handwriting is nice. So that's where they're at with that.
I will say every time I see a guy with nice handwriting, I have to like point it out like immediately.
I have awful handwriting.
I do too.
It's so sad.
I am left-handed.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, yeah, so I just smear as I write.
Yeah. I have no excuse. Mine's just bad.
Yeah. I actually like when I was in high school, I would write upside down.
How?
So the way the desks were, because the desks were like right-handed,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I would be so turned that I was practically upside down with how I was writing. So like my arm would be like this way. So it wasn't like the paper was
Oh,
upside down. I was like my
yeah.
arm was like close like in like a V like close to my chest so
Oh,
I could like
dang.
write that way. And that was the only way to not smear, not to have like
Yeah.
the whole side of my hand just covered in graphite.
Oh my God, yeah. Wow. Way to adapt.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it till one day. Like somebody stopped and was like, "Alex, what are you doing?" I was like, writing."
Yeah, duh.
And then I kind of processed and I was like, "Oh, this is weird."
Yeah, well, hey, if you don't have the left-handed desk, what are you gonna do?
Right, which honestly, I didn't even like the left-handed desks after like once I got to college and they like existed. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm used to writing the other way now.
Oh no, I like it upside down.
Yeah. Um, so we have this. So then Pat is so bold. Pat invites his mystery crush up onto the roof. And so he's there with like a gift and waiting, and then Prawn walks up.
Mm-hmm.
And Pat's like, "What are you doing here? Are you waiting for somebody too?" And and like Prawn is basically like pieced everything together immediately, right? Like
Yeah.
he sees Pat there with the gift, and he's like, "Oh, okay." Um, like clearly, I know what's happened now,
Yeah.
and but then like another girl walks up, and Pat is like like clocks her and is like, "Are you here to meet somebody?" And she's like, "No," and she's on the phone with like her boyfriend,
Yeah.
and she's like, "I don't know what this guy is. Like he's a weirdo."
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
and then I think Prawn explains that they were waiting on each other.
mm.
And he's like, I'm gonna go now. And Pat's like, oh God. So Pat, it's so funny because Pat gives whatever like dessert he bought to the girl and it was like, here, I don't need this. You can have it. And like walks away. And she's still on the phone with her boyfriend. And she's like, the weird guy just gave me some dessert. I don't think he's trying to hit on me.
I love. He just looks depressed enough where she's just like, yeah, he wasn't hitting on me, but he did give me this.
Yeah. And so at the same time, we have more drama
Mm.
between the friend groups. So why, who is Prawn's friend again, works at this bar, and it's apparently the only bar in the area,
Yes,
um,
it
because
is.
it's the only one they go to, anybody in the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Pat's friends are there, and they like harass this poor dude the entire time.
Oh my God. Okay, most typically I like Pat's friends a lot, but this is like the one scene where I'm like, you
Yeah.
guys are like such dicks. Like this man is like working his like minimum wage job to get through college and you're like harassing him for it.
Right? Because that's Pat and Prawn basically, I think, have a lot of money because
Yeah.
neither of them work, right? Like both
Oh,
families are
no.
are are doing pretty good.
They got big
Um,
ass houses too.
Yeah, they have huge houses. At one point, Pat gets like a really nice new car. Um, their dorms are pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay. And then you have Y who's here like the working on top of like in being involved in school, right? And so it's like Pat's friends, what are you doing? Can you
Yeah.
leave this dude alone? Like I know you don't like him, but not the time.
Yeah, he's like on the clock right now.
Yeah, and like they're purposely doing things like dropping like the bucket of ice so it spills and being like, "Can you get me more of that?" Like, dude, dude,
Oh my God, I would kick them out.
right? But like, what's he gonna do? So,
Yeah.
um, and then I forget why Prawn is in Pat's bedroom, but Prawn is there. I think they're talking about something. It's probably more of how do we keep our friend groups from killing each other.
Yeah.
And they're talking and whatever, and Pat is flirting as usual, and then uh, Pat's dad shows up, right? Which is a problem because again, these parents hate each other, and
Yeah.
so the kids are supposed to hate each other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
Logic.
so, right, it's so dumb. And so Prawn has to like hide under Pat's bed like this entire time while Pat and his dad are in there talking, and Pat's dad is just talking complete shit
Yeah.
like about like Prawn and his family. And he's like, what sport is he doing? Are you doing better than him? And whatever. And like, God, they're awful people or whatever. And like, Prawn's heart is like broken in this. Like, you can
Yeah.
see it.
Poor kid.
Yeah. And so after Pat's dad leaves, because he's like, go get him, champ type of a dude, like, it's so annoying. I hate Pat's dad so
I do
much.
too.
I'm like, out of everybody, I feel like he doesn't get a redemption arc.
No, he's yeah, I just don't like him
No,
like the whole way through.
he's such a like gym bro type of vibe, you know, like in the worst way
Yeah.
of like, you gotta be the best at the sport and that's the only thing that matters and whatever. It's so dumb.
Mhm.
It's so dumb. Um, and so then Prawn comes back out after all this, and he's like, I'm gonna just move out of the dorm, so we don't have to be near each other, and it'll be fine. Um, and then we get another flashback, and like these flashbacks, this one broke me. Um, so this is a flashback to them in grade school because Pat and Prawn went to grade school together, right? And so they're in like, I don't know, like ninth grade or something like this at this point. And they're in the class band together, right? So, which is crazy to me that like the parents let them interact that way, but I guess it was
I don't think they knew they were interacting that way.
true.
Yeah.
Like that would make sense, yeah. Um, but even then you could tell that they got along, right? Like
Yeah.
the way like in this band thing and whatever, that they got along. Like they competed with each other or whatever, but they even back then the rivalry really wasn't there.
Yeah.
More than what was forced on them.
Yeah, we find out that they're pretty much like friends like way back in high
Yeah.
school.
Yeah, like as friendly as you can get when you have to pretend like you hate each other.
Mhm.
Um, and so in this flashback, you see them in the band together and they're like doing a performance, right? And Prawn's parents show up and they are pissed.
Mhm.
And like on stage, Prawn has to stop playing and walk off stage mid-song in a song. I don't know if we find this out at this point, but Prawn and Pat wrote the song together. Like this is a big deal.
Yeah.
Um, like so mid song, walks off stage, gets transferred out of school and is never seen again.
Just that's
Just gone.
crazy. Could you imagine just like
Right?
your classmate just like disappearing after that day?
I just because Pat saw him leave. I think he went to go
Mhm.
like find him to like talk and like watched him like leave with his parents and then just never come back.
Yeah.
And so there's actually like a 3 year gap. I don't remember when this comes up, but it doesn't matter. But like there's a 3 year gap between that moment and when they meet each other in college again.
Again, a cat.
Yep. So it's our third host.
Yeah, this is Sylvester. He's our third host.
Um, so like there's a little bit that's happened, I guess, for all of them, you know, where they don't know each other. Because I think met Pat, or excuse me, Prawn when after he transferred because they've been friends for longer than college too. They knew each other beforehand.
Yeah.
And that's why they're so close. Um, so Prawn like goes to like apartment hunt and this and Pat's like, I can't stand for that. He already saved my sister. This is too much that he owes me now.
Yeah.
So he's like, so Pat shows up to the room that Prawn is like looking to like rent out and Pat's like, I'll do it. And it's like they fight over who gets to move out then and it's like who's gonna owe who for this and whatever and it's this big dramatic thing. And it's so fucking funny because they fall onto the bed and have a tickle fight.
Oh my god. Yeah. They're like viewing this apartment and they're like wrestling on the bed and like honestly, it's like that first moment in the show where you're like, "Oh, like
Yeah.
I'm
There's
feeling some like sexual tension here."
Yeah, it definitely like there was a moment. But the fact that they were literally tickling each other sent me.
Yeah, I know.
But
We all tickle our enemies.
right?
Don't lie.
Have I ever told you that I'm a squeaky toy?
Are you? See,
Yes.
I'm the opposite. I'm not ticklish at all.
I am so ticklish that all you have to do is poke me in the side and I squeak like a squeaky toy. Like legitimately, like it used to be I would like be in class or something like in like high school and college and someone would poke me intentionally so I would like literally just this high pitched squeak. And it became such a thing and I'm like, can I not be a squeaky toy for like a day, guys?
That's so funny. Yeah, I'm the complete opposite. I'm just like missing that
Oh, I
gene.
my mom can give me like a look. You know how like moms have like the I'm mad at you look? My mom also has the I'm about to tickle you look and I already like freak out.
Oh no.
And it's like please help.
Yeah,
It's like doesn't even have to touch me.
it's terrifying, honestly.
It is.
Hmm.
My one note on this tickle fight was the chemistry is chemistry.
It really is. Genuinely, these two have the craziest chemistry I've ever seen. Like,
Yeah.
It's it's nuts.
I feel like First Katong have very similar levels of chemistry. Their
Yeah.
vibes are different.
Yeah.
The vibes are very different on how the chemistry comes out,
Oh yeah. Cuz this
but
is
the
much more like
intensity is there. Yeah.
playful, teasing whatever. And like First Cow Tongue, a lot of their chemistry is just like intense.
Yeah, it's intense and
So,
there's always so much heavy drama
yeah, right.
and not just like college bullshit.
Yeah. Even their
Uh,
college bullshit show was intense.
heavy. Yeah.
Heavy drama.
Alcoholism, driving drunk, drugs,
Yeah, the whole 9 yards.
cheating. I saw a tweet. I think it was yesterday that cracked me up. It was like a list of things that stressed me out as a First Cow Tongue like fan, and like number 5 was Boeing. Just Boeing. Like other stuff was like like things that have happened or whatever, and then it was just a straight up just a character.
That's so
Um,
funny.
for the uninformed, Boeing is a character that came between First and Cow Tongue in Only Friends.
Hmm.
Go watch it; it is amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
College show with extremely different vibes.
yeah,
So,
there's not much college in that show.
no. Yeah, definitely.
Like it just happens to be that they're all college age and like they go to class like twice.
Yeah.
Um, this is another show where they don't really go to class. They go to class like 2 or 3 times in here too.
Yeah, they're
Like
mostly
they're
just like on campus, at
yeah
least.
yeah they're on
But
campus, but that's it. I mean, Only Friends they're usually at a bar at somebody's bedroom. Um,
yeah. This one, a lot of bedrooms as well. But
yeah. Different vibes for the bedroom.
yeah, definitely.
I guess one of the things with this show being a little older, which feels weird to say because 2021 like was 4 years ago, but still not that old, right?
Yeah.
But like I think the vibe with the NC scenes is like a lot different. Like this doesn't have an NC scene. Like they skipped
No.
that scene.
Yeah, it,
Um,
it cuts out completely.
which I feel is probably more common for the time.
Yeah, but this show, I will say, because, like, I watched the show after watching, like, Sodus and, like, a couple other things.
Yeah.
I the amount of like just casual like kissing in this
Mm-hmm.
show was so refreshing and nice to see.
Yes.
And obviously like we haven't quite gotten to that yet, but like I remember watching this and like being shocked that they're just being so like openly affectionate with one
Mm-hmm.
another just so naturally, and I was
Yeah.
just like I really love that. So you can definitely see the progression of like the really early ones and then this kind of era where it's like not really super explicit scenes, but definitely like explicitly romantic scenes, and then
Mm-hmm.
to where we are now, which is once again full ass.
Last year, 2024, there were so many like bare like butts on camera. I I don't have any words for it. I was not expecting it. Especially 4 minutes. 4 minutes, my God.
I know it was the butt apocalypse.
It
Apocalypse.
was.
Apocalypse. No, I'm gonna stop. Sorry. Apologies. That was Sylvester that said that.
So episode it's been a long day, guys.
Yeah.
Episode 2
Hmm.
ends with the two friend groups fighting at the truce bus stop
Hmm.
and outright destroying the whole thing.
Yep. And because Pat and Prawn are too busy tickling each other on the bed, they're not there to stop at this time. So the bus stop
Right.
gets fucking demolished in this tussle. Like,
Right?
destroyed.
I I'm impressed with how much they destroyed it. Like they like threw each other into the thing
I
to knock it
know.
down.
You
Like
would really
bowling with
think,
humans.
like, they weren't even aiming for each other. They were just aiming for the bus stop at this point.
Right? Which is so dumb.
Yeah.
So obviously everyone knows immediately who did it, and they're all in like huge trouble for it.
Hmm.
Which I think like Pat and Prawn both get in trouble for it, despite not being in it.
Yeah.
More so Prawn because it's his friend group that I think threw the first punch, so they get the blame for everything.
Hmm. And it's also just kind of like the school's like, okay, you guys just in general, like, have to stop fighting. Like,
Yeah.
just in general. But, yeah.
So that takes us into episode 3.
Hmm.
So we can go straight to that point, really. So episode 3, I think we there's like a gap in between when we find out what they have to do because of the destroyed bus stop. But
Mm-hmm.
because Pran is trying to write this song for this like freshman concert thing, right? And Y is just like, well, write it from your experience, dude. And Fran's like, I don't have any. Like, what are you talking about? I don't have anything to write about. I haven't had like some awful romance or whatever that I can write a breakup song over.
Mm-hmm.
And Y's like, well, haven't you had a secret crush? Which is like such a weirdly specific thing to
I
like
know why is
bring up.
always like on his neck about like his love life, and he's like picking up on like everything somehow, but
Yeah,
yeah,
but never pieces it together in the correct way.
no.
Is and like when Y asks about the secret crush, we get this flashback of Pat and Prawn together, and Prawn is like trying to like play his guitar, but he keeps hurting his hand, which is such a weird. I don't understand. Like I don't know if you've played guitar, but
Only a little.
like I have two guitars, right? And
Yeah.
like I've played it, and when you don't have a pick, like it's not as painful as he was making it out to be. Because he was like every strum, he was like, oh, ow, oh, ow. It's like my guy, it's not that dramatic.
Yeah. Just stop playing at that point.
Right? And he's like struggling through this pain that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, yeah, I mean, it's a little annoying because you know, your thumb straight on these strings now, especially like the thinner ones, but like it's not that bad. He's so dread. But Pat walks in and Pat's like, "What's your problem?" He's like, "Oh, I don't have a pick." And Ron is just, or Pat's immediately like, yeah, give me your student ID." And he's ready to like cut up his student ID, and Prawn's like, "Are you insane? That's my ID. I need that." And so then, the cutest thing, Pat just pulls out his own ID and just cuts it up into a like a heart shaped pic for Prawn.
Yeah, like right around his face. So
Yep.
now
And
Prawn
he's like,
has like a guitar pick of Pat's face. It's so cute, honestly. I love this is just such good like explanation of their characters because it's just like Pat being kind of like impulsive and like I don't know, doing
he's
something
so
silly. But
right. He's so flirty, and like you can tell, like he's not even processing like how flirty that really is to do that, right? Because
hmm
as he's handing it, he's like, "This is the most like handsome pic to ever exist." As he's handing it to Prawn, he's like, "Just use this, whatever," and like doesn't think anything of it. He's like, "I wanted another one anyway,
yeah.
like another student ID," and clearly Pat or Prawn has had these feelings for a while because like a secret crush immediately goes back to like grade school 3 years ago,
Yeah.
like
Man's
dude.
been feeling things for a while.
Yeah. Um, so then we have Prawn runs into Pat at this one like food truck,
hmm
right? Um, like again the only like restaurant to go to apparently. Um, and they fight over a dumpling.
It's so cute.
Pat's just laying it on thick. Pat is flirting. And the thing is like it's really like it's not flirting because he's interested at all. It's just who he is.
I think he's found out at this point that he just really likes getting under Prawn's
hmm
skin and it like makes him really happy. And so he's just like constantly teasing and he's like stealing his food kind of and
Yeah, I
yeah.
think for him this is like a safe way of like harassing him. Like it's not mean, right?
Right. It's kind of
Um,
like cuz he knows he's not supposed to be like nice and stuff. So this is kind of like the middle ground, I guess, where he feels like he can interact with this person in this way and it's still like positive.
yeah, there's no like maliciousness or anything behind it. It's so cute.
Mhm.
Um, it's so just watching him flirt. Just I was like, I would have folded so fast. Prawn holding it together as best as he does is just yeah,
It's impressive too because like we know he's had feelings for him for like a long time.
yeah.
So yeah, and it's so cute. Afterwards, they like race each other up the stairs to the dorms, but they're like pushing and pulling each other around, and
And
uh,
laughing the whole time.
yeah, like it like cracks me up because it's just I don't know, it's just so like just like so genuine, you know?
Yeah. It's friends being friends. Like that's kind
Mhm.
of I'd say besides maybe the tickle fight, whatever that was,
Yeah.
which isn't the only time that happens either.
Mm.
But besides that, this is kind of like the first time you really see like a genuine friendship between them, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Like there's been some odd things here and there, but like them just nobody's paying attention. It's not a architecture versus engineering fight, and it's not the parents nonsense. It's just them getting to be who they are.
Yeah. And it's also an opportunity to do one of those smell stick sponsorships. I don't even know. They're like that like little inhaler things that are like minty.
Yeah, I don't know what those are called either, but
Yeah.
there for a while they were like in every show. You don't see them as much right now.
No, I in Osan's Love they have them, but it's like not a sponsored thing. I don't think.
Yeah,
I think
I
because it's like
noticed
not
that there wasn't.
branded. So
Yeah, I noticed that too, that it came back as like, because I see like the actors off cam, like out of show, like use them, but
hmm
it's never like as a like branded. They just legitimately use them.
yeah.
I think they are legitimately like really popular in Thailand.
hmm
It's not something we have here, I don't think.
No, we just have
No.
poppers, and that's very different.
Okay. I was gonna go with Vicks Vapor Rub.
Oh, that's true. That as well. I'm sorry. I'm like, what other thing do you apply? You just like sniff. Fix is good. That's better. I'm sure they
Popper.
have that too in Thailand, but you know.
That caught me off
Sorry,
guard.
that was Sylvester again, actually. So.
Oh my god, that was amazing.
I need to go to Thailand. I need to try their smell stick
Right?
thing because now I need
I'm
to experience it because I genuinely haven't tried something similar.
no, I if I can figure out how to order them here, I'll have them shipped to
Yeah,
us. Um,
we can do a smell test on camera.
um, so now we're finally caught back up to like what happened with the whole like bus stop thing, right? So Prawn's friends, since they're the ones that threw the first punch, now have to repair the bus stop. Um, so the problem with that is they have to pay for it and everything, and it's very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So, like they're struggling to like come up with the money, and Pat and Prawn's parents both own the same type of store,
Yeah.
which is like a lumber supply store and stuff like that. Like I feel like it's like a Home Depot, but like small scale, like family version is kind of the vibe I get from
Yeah,
it.
me too.
Um, and so like Pat or Prawn was like, "Oh, I can get us the supplies with the discount, whatever, so we can do that." But like the labor is also like a big issue apparently because they have a deadline to get it done. Um, and he also goes to like Pat's family store and runs into Pa and is like, "Hey, can you help me with this?" Like he's like sneaking around trying to
Yeah.
um get to that, and so like they're trying to figure that out, and Pat finds out about it and he feels really guilty, right? Because like his whole friend group didn't to get any of the blame in this. They're not in trouble at all, really. Like outside of okay, you guys have to stop fighting. Like outside of that, it was nothing. Um, but like the architectural group isn't allowed to perform in like the freshman concert thing. Um, so it's this whole big thing. And so Pat comes up with an idea. He sees a poster for like this like fun thing, whatever. You can go pitch an idea for something, and if they like it, they'll like help fund it, whatever. And so he, in the cutest way ever, like gets the information to Prawn because they're like at the library when he sees it, and so he makes it like a paper airplane, and he's already like bothered the shit out of Prawn, and so he like sends the paper airplane over to him, and it hits him, and he like blows up on him really loud, and Pat's like pretending to be asleep on the table. But they come up with the idea anyway, and they both go to the pitch for it. Um, and God, the elevator scene
Oh yeah.
was
I love an elevator scene.
right. It's so we have a moment in the elevator
hmm
because it gets a little crowded, and so Prawn is like in the corner, and Pat is like pressing himself like sideways onto this man.
hmm
And this is, I think, the first time that I feel like besides the moment they have in the tickle fight, because there's like a moment of are they gonna kiss like during that tickle fight, right?
Yeah.
Besides that, like this is kind of like the next time where you really see where Pat is like reacting to them being like around each other, and you're like, maybe he does have feelings. I don't think he knows, but maybe he does.
Yeah, right.
Um, and uh, and so we have this moment, and like the elevator clears out, and Pat just doesn't move. Like I think he's still processing that he's like touching Prawn. It's very much gives the same energy as when Pete kisses Fort and Fort's brain just shuts down for a
Yeah,
second. It's giving that kind of energy
it
just to a lesser degree.
is. Yeah.
Um, so then Prawn pitches the idea and to these like business people, and they're like, it's a great idea, but we just did the same thing to like the group in front of you, so sorry. And so Pat jumps in. You see him notice a poster like right before they go in of like some eco thing, and so he's like, well, what if we make this whole thing eco-friendly instead? Like if we change the pitch a little bit and we, make it like 100% sustainable, like reclaimed whatever and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, okay. So they have to like redo their pitch and like redesign everything and send it to them again. Um, so then Prawn is like, I love this scene. Is this the, yeah, I love this scene where Prawn is like out, it's like nighttime and he's out at the bus stop and he's like sitting in the middle of the
Mm,
road,
yeah.
like trying to like design it, and Pat shows up and Pat's like, no, you need to like think about the actual experience behind it to design it. Well, you can't just sit there and stare at a lot.
Yeah.
And so they role play like a couple. And so they argue first who's like the wife. And so Pat's finally like, whatever, I'll be the wife. And he's like, honey, it's raining. We're gonna get wet. And so like Prawn pulls out like a fake umbrella or whatever, and they walk over to like the fake like bus stop, and they're like talking through like what it should do. And then it's like, oh, it stopped raining, honey. The sun's gonna burn me now. And so then they have to redesign for that, whatever. And then it like triggers something for Prawn where he's just coming up with all these crazy ideas.
Yeah.
But it's such a cute moment.
It really is. Yeah. I love they just kind of go along with each other's like weirdness.
Right.
It's really sweet.
Prawn resisted for a while, but once it started working for him, he was like, I'll lean into it. It's
Yeah.
fine.
I feel like he always like ends up just kind of giving in to like whatever
He does.
shenanigans Pat's up to.
Definitely. So after that, they have to go pitch the project again, and they get approval, but there's an issue with the budget.
Hmm.
So they have to knock their budget down somehow. And so they're trying to like figure out how to do that. To get everything in budget, because like part of it is getting like the engineers to build stuff and all that, and it's like it's too much. Um and somebody was like, well, what if we just cut corners of material and lie to them about it? And it's like, no,
Yeah.
don't do that. That's a bad path to go down.
Hmm.
So then Pat gets the idea of the two groups working together to build the stuff.
Wow. Working
Right?
together.
Right? Which is such a bold move from him.
Hmm.
Because like sure, he gets along with Prawn. Like that's fine. Like but like why in corn in like this vicinity of each other is a nightmare.
Yeah. This is their chance though.
Yeah, so Pat like shows up at like the bus stop while they're like talking it through and is like, "Hey, we're here to help, whatever." Um and then they end up uh saying like sort of agreeing to it at that point, because it's like, what else are you gonna do? Because literally the only way that you can do what you want in budget is if the two groups work together and get it done.
Hmm.
Um and then later um uh Pat so Prawn left his guitar when he got pulled out of school back when they were together, and Pat has kept it this entire time.
Hmm.
Which
Like in his dorm closet.
yeah. So like, oh, okay. Sure.
Normal behavior to do for your
Right?
enemy.
Right. Okay. So Pat gives it back to Prawn, and we have a really cute moment with that where Prawn is just so excited to see it again. And he's like, I can't, it sucks we're not going to get to compete against each other in this, because they want like a healthy competition, of in the music competition. And Pat's like, well, actually, with all of this, if we get the bus stop done in time, then the you guys can compete in the music show thing.
Hmm.
Um, And Prawn's like, why? And Pat's like, I don't know. But that was part of the deal.
Hmm.
Pat negotiated with the professor, who's friends with his dad, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, so this is his dad's department in school.
Nepo
Um,
baby.
right. So it's cute that Pat was like secretly like Pat's trying so hard to like be nice,
Hmm.
and it's no one wants him to be nice is the problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just you can see this friendship growing very quickly, and at the same time, Prawn is just so annoyed constantly.
I know. But he's like, yeah. You can tell he's kind of annoyed because he doesn't, you can tell he kind of doesn't want to, like, grow any more feelings than
Yeah,
he already has, you know? But it's kind of
yeah,
hard when Pat's constantly flirting with you, like, all day and, like,
right.
being nice to you and stuff.
I would struggle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, me too. Also, Pat's always, like, sleeveless and he has nice
Yes,
arms, so that makes it difficult too.
he's also shirtless a lot.
He's, I swear, the only reason he's shirtless so much is just because they were like, yeah, let's see it.
Right? Like the man would like constantly were like even at one point his sister was like, "Why are you shirtless?"
Yeah. I know.
Um. So yeah, so 3 episodes in.
Yeah. And at least, like, well, okay, so, like, the fourth episode, the groups, they're working on opposite days because they don't get along, so it's not quite the, like, reunion that maybe everyone was hoping for, but, you know.
At least it's getting built,
Yeah.
even though the engineering team is a bunch of slackers.
Yeah.
Um,
At least they're not fighting and breaking it again.
yeah, thank God. Um,
Yeah.
they found a way to make it a competition.
Of
To
course.
right,
They're
and that's how
so
they kind of
competitive.
they are. Pat especially. Pat makes everything he can a competition.
Yeah.
Um, but and that's how they ended up getting it done. Because without that competition, the engineering team was like so half-assed about
Yeah.
it.
And while they're doing this, the school newspaper wants to interview them, and so, like, the reporter for the newspaper, her name's Ink, and she went to school with Pat and Pran and, like, was friends with both of them back then. So, like, they all know each other, but they kind of, like, pretend they don't.
Yeah, Pat has to like immediately pull her aside and be like, "Play dumb."
Yeah.
Um,
And I love Ink. I think she's such a good friend.
she is.
She's like one of the best characters on the show.
Pat is also he had a crush on her in school, so
Hmm.
that crush is immediately there, where he's just
Yeah.
like puppy dog eyes for this girl. Um,
Yeah. And of course, like, Pat, he skips class and, like, meets up with Ink and they, like, get, like, tea or whatever. And Prawn sees them together and he is, like, so clearly jealous, like, right away.
mhm.
Because I think he also knew about Pat's crush on her back
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
So,
She transferred in like the same year that like Pat Prawn transferred out.
yeah.
So it's like the at one point you get like a flashback of like of when she joined in and
Hmm.
and Pat is just like losing his shit.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. Which mood? She is pretty.
She is,
Um,
yeah.
and she's fun. She's a fun character.
She is. She's honestly, out of all their friends, she's, like, the best friend to, like, both of them. So,
Yeah. Which I think is because she's allowed to be friends with both of them.
yeah.
So,
I mean, like, they have, like, closer friends, but I think some of their friends, they do things and I'm like, that's really shitty. And at least Ink is always, like, supportive and stuff.
yeah.
So, but they're not on a date, actually. They're just there together because um they wanted to discuss, like, what she wanted in return for not telling the friends about their, like, past si- relationship, lack thereof, whatever, what happened in high school, basically. So, yeah.
Which on the surface sounds like a really crappy thing to do. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But it was such a non big deal thing. It was literally just to be a model for a photo shoot for
Yeah.
like a couple hours.
Yeah, she was like, yeah, can you just, like, model this for me? And
Mm,
you picked a good model. So,
yeah, I agree.
so yeah, so that was kind of the trade-off. And so Pat's at this photo shoot and Ink's taking the pictures and, there's, like, some other people there. And Prawn sees this again, basically, where I think Pat like said he was sick or something and like ditched school and in order to do this. And when Prawn sees that, he's like, of course, jealous because he thinks there's more going on.
Hmm. And then it doesn't help because Pat and Ink go back to the bar that Y works at.
Yeah.
And of course Braun is there. And he like tries to sneak out and Ink clocks him as like, "Hey, come here." And I'm just here. I'm like, "Okay, Y is also here. Like you can't sit there." But like he does
No.
anyway. And I'm like, I guess they would have played it off as like interviewing or whatever, talking about something for the bus stop.
Hmm.
Um but like I that was my first panic of uh-oh.
I know. It's like you
Like
guys. I don't think you could be seen in public together at the
right?
moment.
And like I'll say he sits like next to Ink instead of near like Pat, so like he takes what precautions he can, but it's also very obvious that he's like third wheeling at this point.
Yeah, and he ends up like leaving early too. So
Yeah, he can't handle watching Pat give Ink attention and not him.
no.
And then we have so Prawn is on everybody's on a rugby team.
Yeah,
Okay. So
there's a lot of rugby here.
yeah, I'm so glad that I don't have to understand rugby because I know very little about it.
Yeah.
Um, and Prawn during a practice earlier, Prawn had like hurt his shoulder because he got like in his like fit of thinking about how mad he was at Pat for like flirting with Ink or whatever.
Hmm.
He like tried to tackle somebody and had a shoulder injury. Um, and so all of a sudden the engineering and the architectural teams have a rugby match, and in it, Prawn's shoulder gets hurt even more. And Pat knew at this time that the injury was there, and so like he's like, uh-oh, shit. Like he was trying to protect Prawn, and it didn't work because Corn tackled him.
Yeah,
Pat was like, I've got him covered, and then when he didn't tackle, Corn got mad and tackled.
of course.
Right, and so Prawn's like sitting on the sidelines afterwards, and Ink comes and gives him a bracelet, which is a matching one to the one she gave Pat in school before he transferred, because I guess she was actually like good friends with both of them back then to
Yeah,
be giving them friendship bracelets.
I know. Yeah, and of course, Prawn saw her give Pat that bracelet back then and was like, "Oh, she probably has feelings for him too." But now
Yeah,
he has one, so it's a bit
he
more
asked her.
friendshipy.
Yeah, he asked her if she likes Pat, and
Hmm.
she's like, no,
Yeah.
we're just friends.
She's like, "Fuck that."
It's so funny how she's like, absolutely not,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, oh, Pat's gonna be so heartbroken. And so that night, Pat manages to lock himself out of his room,
Hmm.
which I feel probably has to have happened a lot. That kid.
Yeah, definitely.
So he convinces Prawn to let him stay the night. Um, and like we're having such a moment. I think this is one of the moments I cried because I just felt so bad for Prawn. Because
Hmm.
Prawn's in bed, and then Pat is laying on the floor next to the bed, and they're like both just like looking up and talking and asking questions, and Pat is concerned that Prawn likes Ink because he saw the bracelet thing. Um, and so he's like, "Do you like Ink?" And Prawn's like, "Well, do you?" And then Pat's like, "Okay, we'll answer at the same time on the count of three." And he counts, and Prawn says no because that's not who the issue is for him.
Hmm.
And Pat says yes,
Yeah.
and Prawn cries. You
Aw.
have like the Nanon is such a pretty crier.
I know. He really is. Yeah. He pretty cries a lot in this show.
He really does. I
Yeah.
felt so bad. I'm like, oh, this is me. I'd be crying all the time.
Yeah. Ah,
Uh,
sad.
yeah. Um. So episode 5 starts with the next morning, where uh Prawn just leaves like Pat at in his room. And like I gotta go to school. Goodbye. And so he goes to school, and then he calls like shortly after, and he's like, I need the music files on my laptop that you have, or that's in the room. Can you go get them? And this was so cute because Pat gets on the computer and he's like going to get the files, and for whatever reason he starts snooping through photos. It's Pat, so it's
Yeah.
on brand. And he goes through the photos, and like there's a whole folder of just photos from when they were in like grade school together, and like there's just like headshots of like Pat, but it's not like creepy. And there's like photos of like them together in the band and all this, and Pat's just smiling, like he's just so happy.
Yeah. Aw. I like
And
I like how they do kind of like the you get more information about their backstory like slowly as you go through the show.
yeah, because you off the bat you would assume like that they hated each other in school, but they were
Yeah.
actually decently good friends, it seems.
Yeah, right.
Um, it just was short-lived.
Mhm.
So then Pat brings that flash drive with all the files over to the architectural department, but he nearly gets caught by Y.
Mhm.
Um, and the only reason he doesn't is because like uh, I think Prawn like pulls him like in a hallway again, so we have like another moment of that nonsense.
Yeah.
But then Ink shows up, and so he's still caught anyway. Um,
Yeah.
but at least it's not like a fight. Um, and then Prawn leaves because he goes back to do whatever he wants. But then Pat, Ink, and Pat's sister, all go to like this cafe together because Pat has been talking to like about how he has feelings for Ink and he doesn't know if they're reciprocated. And Pa's like, we can test it with these 4 ways.
Yeah.
Um, and the lack of chemistry with the test was so painful.
I know. Oh my god. The test was just failing left and right like ugh.
It was like butterflies when you two touch, or like eye contact, or like being curious if they're dating someone. And I forget there was a fourth one. I don't even remember what the fourth one was.
Yeah.
And it was like one fail after another, and like with each fail, you can just see Pat just die on the inside a little bit more.
I know.
Um,
Like this is not going to work out.
um, but in the meantime, Pa and Ink have chemistry,
Yeah.
which is fascinating.
Yep.
And so Pat has to leave because he gets a call that the drumsticks he was waiting on came in. So he's like, I'm gonna go look for the drumsticks. You guys deal with this. I'll be back in a minute because like the cafe they're in is in the same mall, in the same the store the music store is in.
Mhm.
So while Pat is in there, he like immediately runs into Prawn because of course.
Yeah.
Um and the first thing he does is like they grab for like the same guitar and those sparks are there, right?
The
And Pat just
butterflies.
stops. He like you see this flash of him like talking about the chemistry, like with the touch, and then how it didn't happen with Ink, and but it's happening here, and you can see like the wheel is turning, like the hamster wheel is the hamster's running real fast right now. Um,
That's a good way to put
like
it.
it he's such a golden retriever. Like he's
Yeah.
honestly, he's an engineering student, so he's probably really smart to be real, but he comes across as kind of dumb.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, it's like,
He's like big
uh-oh.
himbo energy.
He really does. But in like the sweetest way,
Yeah, exactly.
right? Like he's the friend you would immediately call when you need like help with like moving furniture type of a thing, and he would be like just down to hang out afterwards.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
and Fran's just kind of like whatever, like what's your deal? And Pat's like going through it.
Mhm.
Um, and you have this flashback of Pat and Prawn working on the song together, right? And it's about like a slow burn rivals to lovers thing, and Pat's trying to make it like a it's an enemies like to rivals thing instead of like a enemies to like lovers thing, because Prawn's trying to write it as enemies to lovers. And he's like, if it's enemies to rivals, it's like our story, because it's like friendly competition. We went from hating each other to just friendly competition,
Yeah.
and I think that's where Pat's like, or yeah, Pat's just going like, wait,
Wait a
wait.
minute. What's going on here?
Yeah, and then this next scene hurt me. I'm not gonna lie. So we're at the Freshie Day concert. Um, Everything's been leading up to this, right, with all the songs and whatever. I can't believe Prawn did this. Prawn performed the song that he and Pat wrote.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly, that would have hurt me too.
Yeah, I know.
Like, it's one thing, like, if Pat wasn't even there, but, like, they're competing directly against each other,
Mhm.
and that's the song you pick. Like, that song has, like, meaning for,
Yeah.
like, their friendship.
It is a
Because that
banger
was,
though.
it is. It's so good. But, like, that's the song they were playing when he got pulled out of school.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right.
So, like, it's not just any song, right? That was, like, where their friendship died.
Mhm. Yeah.
And Pat doesn't take it well.
No.
Pat does not take it well at all. Uh, um, Prawn's group wins. Spoiler. Um,
Just spoilers now. Nothing before was though.
no, but I mean, spoiler if you were waiting to see what the result of that was. Um, but in the meantime, Pat's like off pouting in a corner over it, right? And I think he's still like coming to terms with the fact that like he has feelings for Prawn, but now he doesn't know what to do, right?
Yeah.
Um, and Ink comes up and he's talking whatever, and he confesses to Ink that he likes her. And she's
I
just like,
I
yeah,
love this scene.
I love her. She's so real.
Yeah.
She just looks at him and she goes, I don't think that was a real confession.
Yeah, she was like, "You seem like really depressed for someone who's confessing their love right now." And Pat's like, "Honestly, yeah." But it's
Yeah.
so like I love it because it's she's so non-judgmental and this could have been like a really awkward scene and it could like maybe impact your friendship, but it totally
Yeah.
wasn't at all. Like it was just very like Ink could tell he was going through like just trying to figure out his feelings and Pat
Hmm.
was just so like open and honest about it that I just like I really love how this scene carried out.
Yeah, you could tell that she's so empathetic, I think.
Mhm.
Like, because it doesn't matter who it is, she seems to be pretty understanding of like everyone and whatever's going on,
Yeah.
but she's not afraid to call you on it, I will say.
No. Literally he's like I like you and she's like that don't
No.
sound like it. And he's like yeah, actually I used to like you but like nowadays I don't
Yeah.
really know what's going on with me. Like it's complicated.
Um, so separately everybody goes and gets drunk, right? Like they're celebrating or drowning their sorrows depending on who it is. And drunk Pat is waiting outside of the like the dorm building um and for Prawn. And somewhere in all this he had like borrowed like used up the last of like some I don't know what kind of paste that was. It was some for like bread, some sort of spread in a tube. Um, and he had like left a note that he was gonna replace it. So he had finally gone to like replace it, and he was waiting for Prawn, but like clearly upset. So, like this wasn't gonna end well regardless, right?
Mhm.
And Pat or Prawn shows up with Y. Y drops him off on a scooter, and Y's like immediately like ready to like stand off and like take on Pat and fight him. Like just his immediate reflex is seeing the man and wanting to punch him,
Yeah. Yeah, well
which is
he's
really
what do you like want from my friend kind of thing. Like he's just like
yeah,
immediately on
yeah.
the defense and
Which
also the offense.
yeah, which like a lot of this, I was waiting for it to come out that like why like had feelings for Pat or Prawn.
Ah,
Like
yeah. Other shows do that.
yeah, that's what I was waiting for. Like the this best friend that's been there all along on the
The
side.
pit babe treatment.
Yeah, right. Doesn't happen.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah, they're just
Quite
friends.
quite a different thing. Yeah, he's literally just a good friend.
Yeah.
Um, maybe a little hot-headed, but a good friend. The intentions on his side when it comes to this scene, at least, are to protect Prawn.
Yeah.
Um, and and so they get in a fight though, like Pat and Prawn do, and they're like, and Pat's like ready to like confess and be like, yeah, we're friends. What of it, you know?
Hmm.
Because they've been hanging out a lot secretly at this point.
Yeah. Well, he's Pat's got kind of loose lips in the scene and he's kind of like, "Well, are you going to tell him about us?" Like to
Yeah,
Prawn. And Prawn's just like, "Bro, like shut the fuck up. Like you're drunk. Like stop talking." And Pat's
yeah.
just like, "Well, to Wei, he's like, do you want to know about us?" And so, of course, like
Look,
uh
Prawn just like, Wei, leave, please. I'm
yeah.
begging you. But Wei does get a punch in first.
Yeah.
And Pat like it knocks Pat on his ass, and he just sits there like he doesn't even try to get.
Yeah.
He's just like, I'm just gonna take it.
He's
Um,
just like fuming at this point. Like but you can tell it's like he's like I don't know. He's like confused. I think I
yeah.
really do. I like this scene as well cuz
Hmm.
it's just like raw intense emotion that's misplaced kind of,
Yeah.
but also he just doesn't know where to place it. And yeah.
Yeah. I think for him, realizing he has feelings for somebody that he's been like rivals with for so long. Like it's not even like it's not a guy thing. It's not that it's he's a guy. Like they specify that later that that was never the issue.
Yeah.
Which I think was really funny.
Yeah, I do too.
But like the issue was very much that it was Prawn of all people,
Mhm.
right?
His
And
rival.
then right? And it's like the one person he can't have,
Mhm.
right? It's not the same as you know, oh, we don't have feelings for each other. Like Ink being like, I don't have feelings for you, whatever. That's like a different type of letdown than like even if we wanted to, this can't happen type of a
Yeah.
thing. Um, so uh Prawn mad goes inside, whatever. Pat follows eventually and goes and takes a shower, sobers up. And he tries to like fix things with Prawn and he can't find him. Uh, and he won't answer the door. He won't answer the phone, whatever. And then I don't know if he knew he would be up here or if he was just going up there himself.
Mhm.
But he goes up to the rooftop and Prawn is there.
Mhm.
This is the most iconic scene out of the show.
This, I'm just gonna say it, best scene in BL history. I genuinely like this scene. Every time I see it, it like takes my breath away.
I definitely did go and rewatch this a few times.
Yeah.
Like I watched it and I was like, let me just rewind and watch that again.
Yeah.
Um, so they're up there and Pat like apologizes or whatever for like being a dumbass. And they're like talking and then Pat, I forget exactly how it goes, but Pat's like, I just want to be friends, whatever. And Prawn like looks at him and goes, do you want to be friends? And Pat just goes, no. And like there's so much tension and emotion coming from both of them at this point, right?
Yeah.
And then they kiss and it's a rooftop kiss and it is
Uh,
everything.
it is everything. It's just like you can tell. It's just kind of like an explosion of everything that they've been like holding back. And
Hmm.
it's I don't know. It's so good. It's like a great confession scene too because
Hmm.
it's just like I think before they kiss Pat is just like when you were gone, like I was so happy because like I finally didn't have to compete against someone. I could just like live my life and do what I wanted to do, but I was like so lonely during that time and it just like
Hmm.
wasn't worth losing you for. And it's just so beautiful.
My heart.
I love when men communicate.
It's such a rarity.
I know. And they communicate so well throughout the show and honestly I think that's one of the reasons why I really like it. So,
They
but
do, but
well,
then
this next episode a little
yeah,
bit less, which is
yeah,
understandable, but most of the time, yeah.
yeah. Most of the time, and then the next line in our notes is Prawn is avoiding Pat.
Yeah. Well, okay, because you can see immediately after the kiss, Pat is like ecstatic. He's smiling. He's just kind of figured out his feelings, and it's
He's gotten what he
reciprocated.
wants.
And yeah,
Yeah.
he's gotten what he wants. But Pran has a very different reaction. He looks upset afterwards, and he wants. I mean, you can tell he likes Pat. He like instigated like one of the kisses and stuff, so clearly
Hmm.
he wanted to do this, but you can just see kind of the realization dawn on Pran, who has probably been considering this happening for a while now, where he's just like, okay, like what now, this can't possibly work out,
Yeah.
like because of this guy, like I got kicked out of school, like that maybe that's gonna happen again and stuff, so you can see all of these like crushing, like just the reality of the situation dawn on him. And so episode six starts out where Prawn is avoiding Pat and Pat's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like he doesn't understand.
Pat does not take that laying down.
Mm-mm.
Their architectural department has their yearly camping trip at the beach, of course.
Yeah.
And apparently any of the departments can go to it, but it doesn't seem like anyone ever really does besides our architectural.
Yeah.
And and Pat shows up and he's like, "Hey, can engineering come?" And it's like, "Well, yes, but really no."
Yeah.
Um
All of like Prawn's friends are like, what the fuck is he doing here?
And I love the um the beach trip. It's so funny.
It is.
Like So there's a lot of like them learning about environmental stuff. So the uncle, do you know who the uncle is?
Who?
It's Combe, who is the director of Kin Porsche.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh.
I think he also is the screenwriter for Kin Porsche, maybe?
Oh, okay. That's a fun fact.
Or no, just the director. But yeah, he directed Kim Porsche.
Oh,
So
damn.
that's
Okay. Good
yeah.
for him.
So that cracks me up that
Yeah.
he's in this as like an actor because I'm like, you okay.
Yeah. That's so funny.
I don't think I've seen anything else he's like directed or written or anything.
Not
But
that I know of.
no. But Ken Porsche is iconic.
Yeah, of course.
No. He hasn't really acted in anything else either too much. He was in like a couple episodes of something called Bangkok Breaking
Hmm.
and some episodes of something Tawan Tat Barapa. I don't know what that is either. But
Yeah, the
he's
cameos in
also
the show are like crazy.
he's also the action director for my stand-in.
Oh yeah, right.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So that's my little trivia. That's the uncle who like runs this like beach program that they're at. Because it's all about being like environmentally friendly, so he makes them like pick up the beaches and stuff like that. But then they also do like these bonding games,
Mhm.
and like the entire time they've had like these colored like name tags on, and on the back of them they didn't see was like a name of like a fruit, and you had to find like your matching like fruit partner, like who had it on there, and of course it's Pat and Prawn,
Of
like
course.
of course,
They're like paired together
and
for like all these games and stuff.
yeah, and so what happens with this is they get like a piece of newspaper or something and they have to stand on it together and then after a while like they have to fold the newspaper in half and then stand on it. So you're getting closer and closer and closer. And there's so much tension,
Yeah.
right? Cuz it like Pat is just daring Prawn to do anything.
Yeah.
You can just see it. He's like, "How close are you going to let me get?"
Yeah. In front
And
of
then we have
everyone, by the way.
yeah, right? And which nobody's really paying that much attention. Like Wise like side-eyed them a couple times,
Yeah.
but like
I mean, it's a
everyone's
part
trying.
of the game. Everyone's doing
Yeah,
it.
right. But then they trip because they're too close together, and I think Pat steps forward and Prawn tries to step back, and he falls, and then Pat falls on top of him. He has this moment where he like grabs like hit the back of his head to like protect him on the way down too, and I was like, oh, okay. But then they're literally on top of each other. But then the architectural Prawn's friend group like immediately is like, what are you doing? And
Yeah.
like
Get
pulls him
off
off.
of
I was like, how
him.
dare you? And Pat's having to like chill everyone out and be like, guys, I fell. It's an accident.
Yeah.
Don't kill him because I fell. Um, and then Pat's just there to cause chaos.
Mhm.
That's all he's there for. So
Yeah.
everybody's at like the lunch table, like Prawn and Y and like their whole friend group, and Pat pulls up a chair in between Prawn and Y and just parks himself there.
I love it. He just like scooches them out of the way. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna sit here in this table in the middle of like all my enemies." And of course, none of them know what's happening, so they're all like so confused.
It's one of those of like, does he have a death wish? Like,
Yeah.
what do we
This is
like?
just
Why is he
how much he loves Prawn.
right? Right? He's just honestly like all he needed was Prawn to talk to him.
Yeah.
That was all he wanted. Like he wasn't even asking like to date or anything. He's like, just have a conversation.
Yeah, right.
We need to talk about what happened.
Yeah.
And Prawn is having none of that, right? Um, and so like they talk it out at like later where Prawn is like, you need to get your shit together, dude.
Mhm.
And like leave me alone. Um, and then we have like the next day where Pat and Prawn end up going like to the market together for like the uncle and like going to buy stuff and you have like this cute like bonding time of like them just hanging out and going and shopping and Pat is annoying as fuck.
Oh my god, yeah. He's like stealing the grocery list, like grabbing random food items. Prawn's just like,
Yeah.
okay, we only need to get what's on the list and like leave.
Yeah. But Prawn's having a good time whether or not he'll admit it.
Yeah.
Um, and then of course on the way back from the market, the truck breaks down and like while they're trying to push it or whatever, Prawn falls in the mud.
Hmm.
And then of course he gets mud on Pat because what else do you do at that point?
Hmm.
Um, and and so then they end up the two of them on like a private beach somehow from there,
Yeah.
and they have like this moment, and it would have been such a cute moment, but I had a hard time hearing what they were saying because the waves were so goddamn loud.
I know. I'm so happy I just read the subtitles because, yeah, it was like so hard to hear.
Yeah, if I was only listening to the Thai, I would have had to put Thai subtitles on because like the waves were so loud. Like
Yeah.
it's a product of the times. It's bad audio is just part of the game.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore, but back then for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but it was just it took me out because they were really having like this moment where they were like talking through as best they could of like what happened and whatever and just it was such a cute moment, but the waves were so loud.
Yeah.
Um, at one point, Pat's like, "I'm gonna go fake drowning, and you have to come save me." And he goes and like throws himself in the water, and Pran just lays there and just stares.
Uh,
Pat comes back and he's like, "You would have let me drown," and Pran's like, "Probably."
yeah. Not your sister, though, but yeah, you.
Yeah, which is fair.
Yeah,
Always protect the girls.
of course.
And then we get the printer scene.
Yes. Best scene in the show. I'm just kidding. But this is like the most iconic BL ad, I feel, that everyone always
It,
talks about.
yeah,
It's
because
just
it's
Canon printer.
and how easy it is to refill the ink.
Yeah, it's
Um,
so simple.
yeah, because all the other ads we've had at this point really have like fit in, like the smelling thing.
Hmm.
Like it made sense because they were like having a hard time breathing, and that's what they always use their sticks for. Um, and then there was one, it was like the Nivea water that I made fun of earlier, where like Pat literally like shows up and is like, "Take my makeup off for me." And then there's been some drinks here and there, different drinks. It's not always Oishi either.
Yeah.
Um,
But this one, they're just straight up like go from the beach to like into Uncle's house, and he's like, I need help changing my printer. And they're like, it's actually so easy.
yeah, you just do this, like zoom in on them how they do.
Yeah.
And then like Pat from his phone is able to like send a photo to the printer to print it, and of course it's like prawn sleeping or something, so you can tease him with it.
Yeah.
But like it's so obvious, it's so bad.
Yeah. It is. It's funny though.
Yeah. So then we have another pairing moment, but this time it's Y and Pat, which is murder.
Bad
That is all that will
combo.
come from this.
Water and oil.
Yeah. It's my note here is like if looks could kill, I'm pretty sure Pat would have like died 10 times this episode.
Oh yeah.
Um
100%.
I the amount of times he would have died this whole show from Y like death glaring at him. Like anytime they're together, like for any reason, Y is always just like mean mugging him.
Yeah.
Just so funny because Jimmy's just such a like nice
I
person.
know. It is funny to see him like this.
Just so angry all the time.
Yeah, and I love how Pran's solution to this is just to get his friends so drunk they don't go jump Pat. Because, like, that was their idea. They were gonna, like, literally jump him. And then Pran's, like,
Yeah.
just gets them, like, wasted. And it works.
Yeah. He says that his first love is like in a relationship or something like that.
Mhm.
And and so he's heartbroken and that's why he's been down all this trip, whatever.
Mhm.
And they're so it's like he's like, let's cheers or whatever, and then everybody's chugging and he just dumps the beer behind.
Uh,
So and then we see Pat and Prawn talking later and suddenly we've jumped into a competition of who's gonna fall in love first.
yes, love this era. Because it's basically just, like, a flirt off until someone cracks.
It was so
Yeah.
because Pat was already flirty, but somehow when all this happens, he loses the ability to flirt, I feel like he's
Oh,
not good at
it's
it.
because Prawn starts flirting and then he just gets immediately like flustered. And so it's yeah, it's great. I love seeing Prawn start to like dish it.
Yeah, because it's he's definitely the much better flirter of the two of them
Yeah.
because he can for the most part handle it whenever Pat like flirts. Like you see him crack a little bit, but he can usually hold together long enough to remove himself and
Yeah.
like then like melt down in a room. Um, but it's so much fun.
Yeah. And I love this like too, like that you see at this point Prawn's kind of realized that like okay, Pat's like serious about this. Like he followed him all the way here. He's doing all this to like, you know, like show
Yeah.
prove that he's like serious about this. And so Yeah, so now they're both like all in for this
Hmm.
relationship. So,
Thank God.
yeah. And we begin sophomore year.
Yeah. So Pa's now a freshman, and she lives with Pat now.
Wait, you cut out a little bit.
Yeah. Hold on. It's trying to reconnect. It says my Wi-Fi's gone.
Okay.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. Okay. So Pa's a freshman now, and so she lives with Pat.
Hmm.
Um, which I didn't think their rooms looked that big, but it's the same room. Like I'm pretty sure it's the same. Like it doesn't. And
Yeah.
now all of a sudden they've like split the room in half, and like she's got half and he's got half, and hers is like bright white and his is like not. Um,
Yeah. They have kind of like a studio where Pran has like a one bedroom, so Pat and Pa are kind of scrunched in there together, but they seem to be chill with
yeah,
it, so.
yeah. I get the vibe that not like most people don't spend a lot of time in the room, you know.
Hmm.
Um, which I guess is how I was in college too, but I was always in our study room.
Yeah.
Um, so and then for some reason the architectural group is doing a BL play.
I love it too because they're like, yeah, we're gonna do this play, except we're gonna make it gay because that's what's in right now. So we're
Yeah.
doing a gay play.
So that's what they're doing, which I'm not familiar with the play, but I think it's like a Thai classic of some sort. It's
Yeah.
something Liam and somebody.
Yeah, I think so.
Um, it's giving Romeo and Juliet though, I
Yeah,
will say.
with
So
xylophone.
yeah, it's giving Romeo and Juliet, but make it Thai somehow.
Yeah.
I I'm curious if the engineering group does anything
They're
because
the sound engineers. Wait, no, they're not.
no,
That's
no,
still
they're
the
not.
architects. Yeah, I don't know.
No, that's so architecture's like we're gonna do this play that we do every year. Like they do a different play every year. Like
Yeah,
that's their thing, right? And then they have like the architectural like beach trip, right? That's an annual one. What's the engineering team doing?
they're too
Like
lazy.
apparently, I just which I mean I we have an unreliable narrator for that, right? Because Pat is just so like focused in on Prawn that it's just whatever I got to do to like follow him around like a puppy.
Right.
Um, but it's just really funny because I'm like we know a lot of what like architectural is up to.
Yeah,
Um,
it is funny. Yeah.
and so they decided to play, and then Pat is over at Prawn's room to help with the printer ink again.
Of course. He's all
Um,
everyone has the Canon printer.
yeah, and apparently Pat is the only one who knows how to do any of this. For how easy it is, you know.
Yeah.
Although I will say they don't play this one up nearly as much as they did the first time. Like it was
No.
much more casual. Like they were doing something else while they were doing it.
Yeah, this one's more just a
Um,
ploy for Prawn to get Pat over to.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because Prawn is laying it on so thick.
Hmm.
He's like, I made dinner. I dream of being able to make dinner for like my lover,
Yeah.
and whatever. And he's uh, like pretending to like try to feed like Pat, and Pat is like struggling.
Oh yeah. He almost cracks right here.
He is just about to, and in like the last second, like is like, nope,
Yeah.
like I will win.
It's so funny because
Um,
he like sprints out of there, sprints into his room, like falls on his bed, and is like
Screaming
squealing.
into a pillow. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like squealing around, and Pa is there because she just moved in, and she was just like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Like, imagine if like you're sharing your room with her brother, and he leaves for like 2 minutes and runs back in squealing. We're like, "Are you okay?" Uh,
I would be so concerned, but also I'd be like, boys are dumb.
yeah.
So so you get the scene where you see the freshmen from like I think it's the journalism majors are like having to like ask people to like sign like the upperclassmen to sign something, and I had such a SOTUS flashback from the
Yeah, I know, right?
I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Because like the upperclassman is like, what are you gonna do for me? I won't just sign it, whatever. Um, and Ink is like, you can't haze the freshman, just sign it. And then immediately she's like, dance for me.
I love it. Get him to do a little
Yeah.
dance. Why not?
Yeah, and it's Pa, and Pa's just like looking, and she's like, I'm kidding, just hand it over.
Yeah. Yeah, this is when we start
Uh,
getting a lot more like a bit more pa focused.
Yeah.
So,
Um, so we're back to the play, and this play, Y is describing the play to Pat because Y is the sound engineer, or excuse me, to Prawn. Y is the sound engineer for this. Prawn I think is working on the music for it. Um, and so Y's like explaining it so you can write the music or whatever. And it is very is very much Pat Pran as a story.
yeah.
Of enemies, the lovers type of a thing going.
Yeah. Their story
Um,
is kind of giving Romeo and Juliet in general.
yeah. Um, what's the musical? I can't think of it where it's like more modern day. I want to say it's like maybe Hispanic or something, and it's another musical where it's also like the two different like rival like
Oh,
gangs
is
or
it
whatever.
In the Heights?
I don't
Is it
remember
that
what it
one?
is.
Hmm.
I can't remember the name of it, but that's what it reminds me more of because you have like more. I meant to look it up earlier and I kept forgetting because I got hooked on the show.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's um West Side Story,
Oh,
I
West.
think is the one
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
thinking
yeah.
of.
West Side
Yeah,
Story.
yeah. It's giving that to me. I think maybe more because it's you have like these like friend group things going.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I mean, in the end, it's all closely the same, right?
Yeah.
Um, Um, but then we have this next montage of like Pat and Brown flirting, and it's them buying stuff like delivery stuff for each other of like these like baked goods or whatever, and having them like publicly delivered. So either at like something for the musical or like in the middle of class because they have like a whole like all the sophomores have like a class together type of thing and so they're there and like in the middle of it there's a delivery for something and stuff like that and it's just back and forth
Yeah.
where they're just messing with each other.
It's like it's equal parts like love bombing and also embarrassing each other, and that
Yeah.
that's just their relationship so well.
It is. Um, my note is this flirting is killing me. Pat is a stronger soldier than
Yeah. They
I
really
would have.
are. They're both so stubborn, otherwise there's no way you survive this.
No, and Prawn is just next level too. Like Pat, it's so funny because like in the first half of the show, before there was like any like real feelings that Pat was aware of,
Hmm.
Pat was like laying it on so thick, and I feel like he wasn't laying it on nearly as thick anymore, which I think is because like you said, like Prawn was just laying it on so much more
Yeah.
thick. He was like, ah, I can do this.
I think
Um,
they, in all senses, they like match each other very well.
mhm,
Like they're both like equal parts like competitive, and also there's times where like one's more, I don't know. Like the power dynamic, it's always like balance in a sense where like sometimes it's one, sometimes it's other, sometimes they're both equally,
mhm.
doing the most, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun dynamic
Yeah, they just
because it
like push
does.
and pull each other a lot.
Mhm. Um, so why so we have a new rugby team, right? So freshman year rugby teams were based on they were like in school only. Um, and they were based on like the different like degree paths. So like an engineering rugby team. And so now we have like the school rugby team, right, that plays other schools. So Y is on the team and so is Pat. And so Y is also supposed to be helping with the auditions for the play, right? And so he like guilt trips Prawn into sitting in for him for these auditions. Um and then God, while like Y is like leaving the theater or whatever, he runs into Pa. And at first he's like snapping at her, like watch where you're going, whatever. And then he sees her. This is the first time he's ever seen her, and he love at first sight.
Yeah. This is so
Like,
understandable.
yeah, he's just immediately infatuated, and she's just like, where's the theater? You know, whatever. And he's like, oh, it's there. And then like as he's trying to be like, what's your line ID? She's gone.
Yeah.
No time for him.
Mm-mm.
Um, Pat then, as he does, auditions.
He just like
Um,
rocks up completely unprepared. They're like, "Can you play xylophone?" He's like, "I'll give it a go." And he's like, "Doo-doo-doo," and it's really bad.
yeah, the whole reason uh Pa was there was to give him like his like drumsticks, whatever they are. I don't think they're drumsticks. but the sticks to play the xylophone. Um, and so he does that, but he's really good at it, which makes sort of sense because he's a drummer.
Yeah.
So they did make a point of saying he practiced at some point.
Yeah.
Um, so, uh, but Pat doesn't get the part. Some other guy does. And that guy is flaky as hell.
Mm-hmm.
He, I don't know why he auditioned. I don't know what the point of that was because he's like showing up late, leaving early. If he shows up, not even trying. Like he's on the phone the entire time,
Yeah.
and so Prawn has to like ask Pat to like step in, and Pat is like, if you put on the big screen in the classroom that you like me, I'll do it. And Prawn is like, no, never mind.
Yeah. He's like, I'll do it anyway.
So this is I did get a little confused here because they made it sound like they're actually boyfriends at this point.
Yeah, I think this scene they were kind of referring to each other. They were kind of saying, "Oh, well, if I had like a boyfriend, my boyfriend would do this." So, like, they're basically dating at this point, but then I think they're kind of like, "Well, you don't have a boyfriend yet." And they're like, "Yeah, but, very soon like I will."
Yeah,
So,
because no one's confessed yet. They're
yeah.
still
Yeah,
competing.
yeah.
It's so dumb. It's cute, but
Yeah,
it's dumb.
they're like, yeah, I guess not officially dating, but like they're referring to each other like that, so it's like close enough.
Yeah. So then, episode 8, Pat is sleeping over at Prawn's house or Prawn's room.
Uh-huh.
And he nearly burns the place
Oh
down.
my god. It's so sweet because he's trying to make him breakfast in bed and he literally starts like a massive like grease fire.
Yeah, and like the kitchen's like a mess because I don't know how he made like 2 eggs and like some sausage and like some toast and
Yeah.
used like every dish that Prawn owns.
Yeah.
And Prawn's just like, you have to clean all of this. I have to go to class, but you have to clean all of this.
Yeah.
He's like, and don't touch my stuff.
At this point though, like they're sleeping over at each other's rooms like every night. Like they're like dating, but
Yeah.
because no one's like confessed yet, technically
Yeah.
not, but
It's it's and their excuse is like play practice or something like
yeah.
that. Because uh Pat did actually step in for the role because he's a good boyfriend.
Mhm.
Um, and then we have why is fishing for information on Pa from Ike because he saw them talking and he's just like, who is she? Is she single? Like, whatever, all this information. And Ike is like, you want to write all that down for me? And
She's like, you're preaching to
Wise
the
just like,
choir, so
she's like, you have a lot of questions. You should just write it down. And Wise is like, my bad,
yeah.
because they don't know each other. Like they know of each other, um, from like the article, whatever, from the bus stop.
Yeah.
But like that's all they know. Like they're not friends. And so Ink's like, I don't have time for you.
Yeah. Ink is like no
Um,
bullshit. I love her for that.
yeah,
She's
like
like, I
respect
don't
that
have
she's
time for these stupid guys.
no, and like I feel like even if she didn't have ulterior motives with Pa herself,
Hmm.
I think she would have had the same
Yeah.
reaction, to be
Oh,
honest.
probably.
Like I think she's such a girl's girl when it comes to that like no question.
Yeah.
Um so I apparently at some point during all this took a creepy photo of Pa and shows the photo to Prawn as like, this is the girl of my dreams, and Prawn is like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
It's like Prawn knows who she is, but yeah.
Yeah. So he plays dumb and he's like, maybe you shouldn't
Hmm.
like bother her, you know?
Yeah.
Like there's other people, but doesn't say why. Um because I don't know that he would have a good explanation for why he would know what Pat's sister looks like. Um
Hmm. Well, they grow up next to each other, so he probably would.
why doesn't know that? Why doesn't know
He
that?
doesn't? Oh yeah, that's
No.
true.
No.
Okay.
That's the thing. That's nobody knows that they've known each other for years since birth.
That's true.
Um so that's why he has to play dumb because I think
Yeah.
otherwise he would have immediately been like, that's Pat's sister, go
Yeah,
away.
right.
Like we're gonna go ahead and end that before.
Yeah.
Um
But
and then we have our first big issue, which isn't like not something they're aware is a big issue, but it's coming. And it's Pat and Prawn meet in Pat's car because Pat got a new car. This is another one of our ads in the show is was a Mazda because they zoomed in on that logo for sure. Um, so he gets a new car, and so they're meeting in that, and they're talking, and they're like both having to like lie to their friend groups of what they're doing, whatever. And then like as they drive away, you see that somebody in like a white shirt is like watching and has seen this. So clearly somebody has busted them now. At the very least, that they're friendly,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, we learn out in the next episode that it was why,
Yeah.
which is not great for anybody.
No.
Because of all people to find out, and to find out that way, he's gonna be the one to take it the least well.
Yeah.
Um, so then we jump back over to Ink and Pa, and they're having dinner together. They're having like hot pot or something, I think.
Yeah.
And they're both so clumsy. Like Ink gets some like shrimp juice in her eye, and Pa's trying to help her and is just knocking stuff everywhere.
Aw. Yeah. They're so cute.
They are. And Ink is definitely like pulled Pa is like under her wing of like you're mine to protect now.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Yeah.
and in the same time, Pat and Prawn are having a rooftop takeout date. And Pat is sulking because they can't publicly date.
Yeah.
Um
He sees like Ink and Pa's story and he's immediately like, "Oh, I want to go on dates like that with you too."
mhm.
And I love how immediately, even subconsciously, just clocked Ink and Pa as on a date.
Mhm. Yeah, he definitely hasn't pieced together what's happening, but he's like, I want to do that.
Yeah, he's like, "That looks like a great thing to do with your partner."
Right? And like honestly, same. Like it would also drive me insane if I had to like be secretive
Hmm.
because everyone would be against it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And Pat stayed the night with Prawn again, and Prawn did the cutest thing ever of he left notes everywhere to tell Pat to stop sulking.
Yeah.
It was like, it's gonna be fine, stop sulking.
Yeah.
Like you can't leave until you've stopped sulking. You need to do this so you stop sulking. It was so cute.
Hmm.
And and then we have Pat is at the theater to like practice the play and no one else has showed up. So Toto, who's like the director of it, he's just another architectural major, is like, Prawn, you practice this with him, whatever. And and so they're practicing the scene and it's like Pat is like laying it on thick in the scene of like his emotions and he's got his arms around Prawn and he's talking whatever. And Toto's like, what the fuck is this chemistry?
And my note is that's me watching the show right now. I'm like, this is the craziest chemistry I've ever seen.
Yeah. It was so funny because he's like, I'm gonna rent like a hall for like a fan meet after
Yeah, he's when's the fan meet? Can make a lot of money on that.
right?
Hmm.
So then I'm like, could you imagine if Pran had to be like the lead, like the other male lead?
Yeah, right. It would be too obvious then.
And so that night when everybody's leaving, Y sees Pat and Pa together, and he's like livid, thinking they're dating.
Oh God.
And he's like, why is Pat always involved in my life?
Yeah.
And Prawn lets it slip that they're siblings. And why? Heart shattered.
Yeah.
That man is so upset.
I can't date my best friend's rival's sister because that's too much of a connection.
Yeah, because it's the way he hates Pat. Like,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like, that is, for him, that is the one off limits person, right?
Honestly,
Um,
it's really just Y and Pat being rivals at this point.
yeah, honestly. Because you don't really see much interaction from anybody else. Like, you
Hmm.
have Pat and Pran interacting, and then you have Y and Pat and Y and Prawn like interacting. And it's the rest of the friend groups you don't really see around each other anymore.
No, not as much. Corn
Um,
isn't in it as much as Y is.
yeah.
So.
Yeah, Y is always around, which is part of why I thought like we were gonna go for this like sideline friend thing until like the Pa thing came up where I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like we went this route. That's
He's
fine.
just like ride or die, I guess.
Yeah, that's literally what it is.
Yeah.
And Pat ends up going home with Pa for like dinner or whatever, and the scene made me so mad. Um, there like bird pooped on like the car or whatever, and so Pat's dad was already like washing his car, so Pat was like, I'm gonna wash mine real quick too to get this bird poop off, and And like while they're like doing that and his dad's there, his dad's like, "So how's rugby practice?" And and Pat, who has been skipping all of his rugby practice at this point for the play, is like, "Yeah, it's going fine. And whatever, it's great." And his dad, who has a ton of connections to school because he went there and he's friends with professors, whatever, is like, "Yeah, about that. When did I teach you to lie?" Um,
Well, maybe your son
and,
wouldn't lie to you if you were more accepting about his interests in life.
right? And dad is laying on the disappointment so thick.
Mm, boo.
Like, right? So mad.
Hmm.
Um, and like he goes inside and you can see like Pat is like, because Pat is struggling because he's like never seen his dad disappointed in him this way, and he's like, okay, like I don't know what to do. Like the answer for that would be to like drop out of the play, and so he like asked like Prawn about it, like how big of a deal would it be if he were to like step out, and Prawn is like, it would ruin the whole show. You literally can't. He's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I won't. He's like, but also like the guilt I am feeling right now is a problem.
Yeah.
Um, the way this episode ends is
Here we go.
incredible. It
It's something.
so
I didn't expect to see this coming, so.
no, so the architectural like people there are suspicious that Pat is dating somebody, right?
Hmm.
Which is partially because he keeps posting like these photos on like Instagram and like his stories of like cute things of like whatever, like making it clear like there's somebody, something maybe, right?
Hmm.
And Prawn hears people talking about it, and he's like super paranoid that they're gonna catch on to what's really going on because like some of it's like super obvious, like the door hanger on like Prawn's door is like a very specific thing, right?
Yeah. Like any of his,
Um,
he's like, yeah, any of my friends who've ever been to my apartment could recognize that.
yeah, and then one of them cracked me up. He's like, it was my pencils, and Pat was like, everyone uses pencils, dude.
Yeah.
And it was like a really intense fight and whatever, and like Pat was wearing like a shirt he borrowed from Prawn, and Prawn's like, why are you wearing my shirt? And like they get into it,
Yeah. And
and
Pat's response is just, okay, takes off his shirt.
right, and he's just like, here, take your shirt back, whatever, and then like walks out onto the stage,
In front of everyone.
right, and
Yeah.
he's just there at the xylophones like shirtless, just like whatever, and everyone's like, what happened to your shirt? He's like, it smelled bad. Like totally annoyed.
This part was kind of cracking me up because he was like shirtless playing a xylophone solo while there was like flashbacks happening. And I was like, what is going on right now?
It was a lot, I
Yeah.
will say. And and so afterwards he's like pouting backstage again, like behind some curtains. And Prawn comes and finds him and is like trying to make peace, and he's like, look, like I know you want to be public. He's like, I can't do it right now. Like my guy, I can't do it. And but he's like, I'm not wanting to hide from you. It's just what it is, whatever. And it's not everyone needs to know. We know, and that's all that matters, right?
Hmm.
And they're talking and talking it out, and then he's like, well, maybe you can post your Instagram stories or whatever. It's, I guess. And and then Pat's like, no, no, I won't post them. I will respect you finally, right? And we finally are like, I'll respect those boundaries. And they're going back and forth, and then he's like, just put a shirt on. You're making people drool. And so like they're putting the shirt on, and then they're like wrestling again because they wrestle and like tickle and whatever so much to the point where like for whatever reason, um Pat has thrown the shirt over that he's now wearing again,
Yeah.
thrown it over Prawn's head and is like wrestling him that way. And I don't know how, but the curtain falls.
Yeah.
And so everyone sees, because of course everyone's, for whatever reason, the engineering guys are there. There's like a couple of them hanging out. I don't know if they were waiting for Pat to be done. And then like Wise there, he's in the sound booth, and like everyone else is there, and they're all just staring. And it's like, well, I
Yeah.
guess everyone knows now.
Yeah, my first thought was this is like, oh, they only just got caught like wrestling backstage. Like that's not like damning evidence at all that they're dating.
Yeah.
But episode 9 starts and we find out a little bit more information about that
Yeah.
where it wasn't just that they got caught like wrestling backstage, it was that Pat's mic was still on, and Y was in like the sound booth listening to the conversation, heard the whole conversation about them being talking about their relationship and keeping it secret and their whole back and forth between like I'm your boyfriend, whatever. And why this fucking bitch? This is where he's like an irredeemable character to me because this is so messed up. He turns up the volume so that everyone can hear the part where they're talking about how they are in a relationship. And then the curtain falls, which we're not sure if he did it on purpose or if it was just good timing, but he
Yeah.
basically like outed them, which is
Yeah,
like a
that
fucked up thing for a friend to do.
it is like I get it was coming from a place of hurt, but dude,
Yeah.
not the move.
Not the move at all. Not cool. Um yeah, this episode's a doozy.
Yeah. I will say I don't I don't know if Prawn doesn't know that that was his doing or if he's just so panicked about losing his best friend that he's not mad at Y at
No
all.
one's mad at
Like,
why.
no,
It's
I would have been.
yeah, I know. He must like I guess if I want to think about it real like with I don't know, in the story, we can be like, "Oh, he didn't know." But
He had
yeah.
to have known because they heard over the thing too that like their audio come out, didn't they?
I mean, I guess I think they were too engrossed in their fight to realize it, but it doesn't logically make sense, to be
No,
honest.
because like even if they didn't hear, like when they, because everyone was mad at them immediately, right? Like the
Mhm.
engineers were mad at Pat, the architects group was like mad at Prawn,
Mhm.
like both of them got like blacklisted for a while.
Yeah, cuz like
Um,
basically like the next day or later in the day, I don't know, whenever.
yeah, whenever.
Yeah, we see them kind of dealing with the fallout from their friends and like why is her and he's does the thing where of course he's like, "Oh, I'm mostly hurt that you like hid it from me."
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know that I believe
I don't
that.
believe it either. Like,
Right? Because it's one of those, I think if Prana told him, I think he would have been so mad.
yeah.
Like, I think in that moment, yes, he actually would have, he was more mad that Prawn hid it from him, but I think had Prawn told him, I think he would have been just as mad. I
Yeah.
don't think there was a winning situation
I
there.
mean, if you're mad enough that your friend is dating a person that you're gonna like out them for it, like
Yeah.
I can see why Pran didn't want to tell you. Like, you
Yeah,
asshole.
exactly. Right?
Okay. I'm
Um,
heated.
yeah, up until this point, I really liked Y, but I
Yeah.
was like, that was a line too far, my friend.
Yeah. And on Pat's side, he goes to sit with engineering friends and they kind of like block the seat from him and they're like you got to find somewhere else to sit. And then so he leaves the cafeteria, but immediately like his friends like follow him out and they're like, "Hey, we actually like don't care." The seniors are just kind of like up our ass about like, you know, doing this, putting on this show for you. So like we actually don't care. Like, but
We'll see
publicly,
you tonight.
yeah, like yeah. So they're cool about it, which is like nice to see at least considering how horrible Y has taken the news.
Hmm.
It would make more sense if Y had feelings
Right?
for yeah, for
Right? Like
Prawn.
totally getting those vibes.
Yeah.
But they don't play into that at all.
I wonder if
So,
that was
I
like
don't know.
an early concept in the show or something.
And they dropped it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm glad they didn't go that route. I think having that on top of everything else I would think wouldn't was
It's getting a
unnecessary.
little too only friends up in here.
So,
Yeah.
so think then Ink and Paw and Pat and Prawn have dinner together. And so because like everybody knows now, right,
Mhm.
that Pat and Prawn are dating.
Yeah.
Um
And Ink and Pa of course are super supportive.
yeah. Um and they make fun of the I'm straight except for you plot point.
Yeah.
Because they were talking and something I don't remember exactly how it came up and Pat was like guy girl I don't really care
Mhm.
it doesn't matter to me and Prawn's like yeah it whatever like right and that's where Pa was like that's what I would have expected is that I'm straight for everyone except for Prawn
Yeah.
and Pat was like no
No. I love that commentary on like BL at the time because I feel like if you watch it now, you're kind of like, what? But if you like were watching shows back then, that was so common for them to be like, I'm not gay, I just like you. And so
Darn type.
literally Sodas even like come on.
Yeah. Ugh,
Like
it's so dumb.
all the shows did it, which is like
Yeah.
crazy. But
Yeah.
so
It's when those you're not allowed to be gay, right? You know,
yeah.
it's just this one exception.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So yeah, it's so nice to have the characters just be like, yeah, I actually think I'm just attracted to a person regardless of gender. And
Yeah.
yeah, this was like the first show I watched where they like made a sort of statement like that. And it was also the
Hmm.
first Thai BL I watched that had a like lesbian couple in it too, which was so cool
Spoilers.
cuz yeah, cuz I had like watched, previously other BLs and like, you might have like Pripiline from Sodus who's gay, but she doesn't really get a girlfriend.
Yeah, I
So,
can't think of any other ones
yeah.
from back then.
So, yeah, that's why
Because Milk
this
and Love are still a pairing now.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
they've stuck it out, and they're because they were what 23.5 or however you say the name of that show. I think is what they were leads in.
Yep. And then they have a new show coming out.
Oh, did they? Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's the convenience store one or whatever. I don't
Yeah.
remember what it's called.
I think that one's gonna be really cute.
I'm excited for that one. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But that was another thing where I was like, wow, like progress is like really being made in this industry to like, you know, reflect a little bit more accurately like queer people's lives and also like just broadening the scope in general. So that little dinner scene alone I just thought was so cool.
Mm-hmm. Which at this point, Ing and Pa are still just friends.
Yeah.
Um, but after dinner, Pa like walks Ink down like outside to leave, and Ink is like asking Pa about like if she's single or if her inbox is full yet, whatever. And Pa's like, I don't know what I thought college was because my inbox is empty. And Ink is like, well, maybe your standards are too high. And Pa is like on a step above Ink. And so she hops down and she goes, my only standard is like somebody taller than me, and Ink is like a lot taller than her. And so and Ink is like hitting on her like hardcore and is like, yeah, what if I ask you out? And then Pa's like, what? And Ink is like, oh, do I need to go ask your brother for permission? And like starts to walk inside, and Pa's like, no, no, no. And Ink's like, yeah, I'm just kidding anyway.
uh,
But very, very like not like in a mean I'm kidding and
yeah.
a like yeah, we know what's going on. And Pa is like clearly so whipped.
Yeah. Their height difference is everything.
And then we have the rugby
Oh
match.
yeah. Yeah, that's what's next. Ugh.
This is this was dumb. This was another one where I was just mad at why the whole time.
It's just so stupid. Like they're like mid rugby match and they like play like shit cuz Y is sulking and he refuses to like pass the ball to Pat or whatever. Whatever you do in rugby, I don't know. He's not being a team player cuz he's hates Pat.
Yeah.
And Pat's gonna be like the bigger person, so he's like, okay, I'll bench myself so that Y can actually like put an effort. And then Mark gets hurt, whatever his character's
Yep.
name is. I don't know. He's Mark.
I have no idea.
We all know him as Mark.
Yeah, I literally was like, oh, his name is Chang.
Okay, great.
Yeah, cool. It's just
Yeah,
Mark.
he's Mark.
It's curly haired Mark too. It's his natural hair. I'm
Uh,
obsessed.
I love curly hair
Oh,
Mark.
I do too.
But he gets hurt, so Pat has to go back in anyway, and then finally Y kind of gets his shit together and passes Pat the ball, and so they win. So
Yeah.
yay!
The other rugby team does not take that well. Like
No, they're a group of
there's words
psychos.
exchanged. Yeah. They even just like right off the like on the sidelines, they're already like talking shit like and like ready to like go.
Yeah,
And then because once again there's only one bar in this whole town, the other rugby team shows up and Y is working. And the leader guy of that group, he's not named, um, but he's the only one that talks from that team,
you
right?
know who he is though.
I recognize the face, but I don't know where I know him
He's
from.
in I Feel You Linger in the Air. He's like
Oh,
James
is
or
he?
something.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I loved
Oh,
him in that show. And so
oh my
I was
God.
watching this, I was like, oh my freaking god, that's like James.
He was such a better character,
Yeah.
but also he looks a little
He
different. Like a,
he does look different, yeah.
yeah.
So, but I saw him and I was like, is that is that guy? So, yeah, that was my little piece of trivia where I was like, oh my god, I didn't realize that the guy from I Feel You Linger
Yeah.
is this guy from
Oh,
Bad Buddy.
God, this guy sucks so much,
Yeah.
right? Like he's being the worst to Y. Like absolutely. Like they're at the
They're
bar
like
and he's
dumping
literally,
shit on his head. Like,
yeah. So they're like spilling stuff and like, hey, you have to come clean this because apparently Y is the only like waiter there, and and like doing stuff like that, and like the dude, the whatever his character's name is in this, he runs into Y like right outside of the bathrooms or whatever, and they like start arguing, and then this guy pulls a gun on him. Are you insane?
bet you didn't think someone was getting shot in Bad Buddy. Well, you thought wrong.
Yeah, and so like the almost shooting that already happens there gets interrupted because somebody like walks out of the bathroom and they go their separate ways, right? And then Pat and his friends show up because again, one bar. Um,
Uh-huh.
and so they're there and Pat, such a good golden retriever, but like he's such a green flag.
Yeah.
Like honestly, like his friend group sucks, but honestly, he hasn't really done much wrong. Like he's done his best to keep the fights from happening, right? And he's just like even when he's harassing like Prawn, it's literally just like please talk to me.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's never anything malicious from him.
Mm-mm.
And so even like with the rugby thing, right? Like wanting to bench himself. Like that game was a big deal for him too.
Yeah. Like he comes
Um
across as like, you know, kind of like a jokester, class clown, whatever, but he is like a really good heart.
Yeah. So he's watching these other rugby dudes just annoy and harass and everything and why struggling with it because he can't do anything, right?
Hmm.
Like it's his place of employment. He has to just kind of take it. And so Pat's like, I could do something. And so like he tries to step up and everyone pushes him back down and goes, stay out of it. And he's like, no. And he goes back over there and he's just like telling the guy off. And why who knows that this man is armed is like, go sit down.
Yeah.
Go sit down. Not the move. Go sit down. And I was like, oh, okay. Why you're one good moment.
Yeah,
I'll,
he's like, okay, I'll draw the line at you getting literally murdered.
yeah, like Prawn might get mad at me. So I'm like I can see that going. Is Prawn's gonna have a problem with you dying, so go sit down.
Yeah.
Um and so then we see like them all leaving and like Pat's leaving and he's like by himself at the point. Of course he runs in like the whole rugby team, right? And he starts to take them on by himself because of course he does.
Yeah.
And and then of course his friends show up and so there's this big thing and then of course homie pulls out his gun. And so hero Pat goes straight for him and is like struggling with the gun or whatever. And the gun goes off because of course it does.
Oh my god. You're telling me this guy wasn't being a safe firearm carrier?
And so I definitely thought that this was a much worse injury than it was.
I mean, yeah, usually if you get shot.
Right? Because the way he reacted, it was like how they react like most like characters react when they've been like shot, right?
Yeah.
And so you don't see exactly what happens. It's like below the camera. And next thing you see is everybody's like in the hospital, right? And I will say this crossed the line for me a little bit.
I
This was
this
fucked
is
up.
fucked up.
But like Pat's friends like walk out from like the room and like Prawn is just walking up and they're like super solemn and whatever and it's super upset and they're like stay calm and he's like what's wrong and he's like he's been shot. um, and of course he's like freaking out and like he goes in the room and Pat is like playing it up of like I like on his deathbed type of like dramatics, right? And Prawn is like freaking out and then Pat's like no, I'm fine, it grazed. Like,
Oh
what?
my god, I'd be so mad. So
I would
pissed.
I would too. I just
Yeah.
you take a while to fix that with me.
Yeah. He's probably just so relieved that he's like, okay. He's like, oh my god. But
Yeah, so the next problem is his handprints were all over that gun, right? So Pat is then accused by the police of being the owner of that gun.
which I don't know why they don't think it's the other guy's gun, but okay.
Right? He's the one that got
Like,
shot.
yeah, usually if it's your gun, you're not gonna shoot yourself in the leg. But okay,
Yeah, like whatever.
whatever.
Um plot. So there's no CCTV where they're at. So like everyone's like, "Oh shit, what do we do?"
hmm
And Prawn is talking to Y, and Y is like, "Yeah, CCTV." And that's where Prawn's like, "No, we already tried that." And then Y has this moment of, "Oh, but we have it outside of the bathroom." And he gets the footage and sends it over to Pat or to Prawn, who gets it to Pat and the police. And apparently that's just good enough
Yeah.
to be like, "Oh yeah, it is the other person's." Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then as Prawn is leaving, Pat's parents and sister shows up. And so they're all like, "What's that about?"
Yeah. Oh my god. Prawn's like panicking. He sees them and they're like see him and they're like right next to each other. He kind of like turns around back to the door, like trying to find an escape, and he like turns back around and just like walks away.
Yeah, I mean, what do you do?
Yeah. He just honestly saying nothing is probably best. So,
Yeah, that's Pat's problem to figure out.
yeah. And it is immediately after.
Yeah. And that's the start of episode 10
Mm,
is Dad being an asshole, honestly, about Prawn being there.
who would have
Um,
guessed?
right? Um, and Pat is like, "Prawn just helped me get out of jail, dude."
Yeah.
Like you can be mad all you want, but like there was a gun, right? I've been shot, and they thought I shot myself.
Yeah.
And his dad literally like has to just go sit in a corner of like, "What do you mean Prawn helped you?"
Yeah.
Like literally like identity crisis of like my enemy son just saved my
The,
son's
the
ass.
dad doesn't have a good concept of the fact that his like son and his enemy's son are their own people and they're
Yeah.
not the same as them. They're like their own human beings.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah. It's ugh, whatever, Dad. I really of all the characters, I cannot stand this man.
No.
Um
And they even see
so
like Prawn like on the street when they're bringing Pat home from the hospital and they have to like kind of like nudge their dad to like thank Prawn. You
yeah.
know, like he doesn't want to, but
Mhm. So, but it's one of those I've like with that thank you, I had like this moment of are we good?
yeah.
We were not. We were not good.
Nope, not yet.
Um, um and then this is actually I think my favorite scene in the show,
Mm.
maybe more than the rooftop
Ooh,
kiss,
okay.
to be honest. And so this is Prawn calls Pat to like come bring him some files again at the architectural department, whatever. And Pat more than happy to be the golden retriever. Um And he gets there, and Y and the others from like the friend group are like, "Oh, what are you here for? Why are you like sneaking around here, whatever?" And they like drag him over to like these stairs, and like Prawn is at the top of him, just kind of hanging out, and then like Prawn's like mentor is like there, and he's like, "I didn't give approval for this. Like, do you even know Prawn, right?"
hmm
And Pat is like, "What is happening right now?" Because he's like looks at Y and he's like, "Who is that?" And that's where Y is like, "Yeah, that's his mentor." Right? Like this is a big deal because it's like fifth generation mentor or something like that. So like way way older. And so he like Pat is like listing all the stuff that he knows about Prawn, like how he like meticulous he is and like how particular like he like even down to like how he pees apparently. He's like he lifts the lid and I'm like I would hope so, but
Yeah.
um whatever.
Type A versus
And
B.
yeah, and it's like and he likes his dumplings like this and that and whatever, like all this stuff. The mentor's like, yeah, anyone can memorize that, whatever, right? And Franz is up there just smirking, and And Pat is like, why does this feel like an engagement thing?
It really is.
And and like eventually they make Pat confess that he likes Braun in front of everyone, and he's literally having to shout it because he's like he just says like I like you. And Prawn's like, I didn't hear anything. And everyone else is like, we didn't hear anything. And so it's like louder until he's literally like screaming it as they're like walking like to meet each other in like the center of the stairs. And it's such a moment for me.
Yeah. It's great. It's honestly so good.
It is. It's Prawn has the upper hand a lot, I would say, but not to that extent.
Hmm.
Right? That's like one of the few like power plays he's had.
Yeah.
And then the mentor gives his approval, and it's so funny because he like looks around and he's like, "This is the only one I'm gonna approve. None of the rest of you are allowed to date an engineer."
Yeah. So at least that's kind of solved their university, like, faculty beef. So that's not
Yeah,
an issue anymore in their relationship.
thank God.
Yeah.
And so Prawn and Pat are trying to get Y and Corn to be friends,
Good luck.
and they're
Yeah.
frenemies for
Hmm.
sure. But it's unserious.
Yeah.
Like they're definitely just teasing each other now too. It's cute.
Hmm.
And then Y is like, while we're here doing all this, can I date Pa? And everyone's like, what? And Corn's like, no. And Pat's like, I'm the brother. I'll handle this.
Hmm.
And he like looks at Y and he's like, I'm gonna leave it up to her.
Yeah.
He's like, but you gotta work fast. I think she's talking to somebody. And Y's like, what? And he's like, yeah, she's been smiling at her phone a lot lately.
Ink's been coming over a lot. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't know what that's about.
Yeah. Ooh, family drama.
Mm, yep.
So Pat and Pran, they are at the hospital. I don't know, picking up medicine or something. I'm not sure.
I think it was a checkup for the
Okay.
injury.
Yeah, and they run into the employee that resigned from one family company and like joined the other. And it was like a big thing before where like they're like, oh, one family was like poaching the employees of another family. But he was like the employee was like, that's not true. There was also no like rigging from Pat's family, which was also what they believed. Um and like the real
Yes.
drama has like nothing to do with the business.
Yeah, so like literally their entire lives they thought like the issue between the two families was this one employee jumping ship from one company to the other
Mhm.
and like the bidding issues and then that's not what it was.
Mm-mm. He's like, that's not true at all. So
Yeah.
now they're like,
They're
why are they beefing?
yeah, worlds turned upside down.
Yeah.
Like like if I spent literally the like what 19, 20 years of my life at this point thinking that our drama is based off of this one dude basically and then it's not like oh
Yeah.
um
Little mystery.
which yeah. So he unlocked a little bit of lore.
Hmm.
Um enough for them to start snooping.
Yeah. But Paz, she's got other things going on. And she's doing her like four sign test that they did earlier, but she's doing it on Ink to see if Ink likes her. And so they're like doing some photography stuff in the park and being cute, of course. Um, and then like Y and Prawn show up and like Y is down bad for Pa, of course, but like Ink Pa, they're like very much flirting at this point, so he stands like no
yeah.
chance.
Yeah, he realizes real quick he's third wheeling. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
And Prawn is just laughing the entire time.
Yeah. He knows exactly what's happening.
hmm and then after Y failed miserably, they leave. Pat and Prawn start snooping into what their family feud actually is. And so they're like, the tip off was something about it being like friends in school or something like that. And they're like, okay, well that doesn't make sense because nobody went to the same school. And Pat's like, I've seen my dad's diploma. I know where he went. Like, okay. And so they go into Prawn's house and they're like searching through everything and they find out that Pat's dad and Prawn's mom went to the same school.
Hmm. Plot
Um,
thickens.
right? Which happens to be the same school that Pat and Prawn went to. So,
Yeah.
and which is also where they filmed the eclipse.
Yeah.
Um, And so they go to the school to go get more information on their parents, and then we have a random cameo from Gemini Fourth and Fourth.
Yeah.
Um,
They must be like, I don't know, gearing up for like my school president or something at this point. So, yeah.
something.
Because
It would have
they're
been
like
very
band
very
members.
new.
So it's like the same
Yeah,
characters, I think.
yeah.
So,
And and so they're there, and that's where they find out that their parents were really close friends in school until like something happened, and it was something with like they stopped being friends around the time when Pat's dad like went off to college university, but Pran's mom went like somewhere else for whatever reason. Like Pat's dad got like a scholarship. Um, so the teacher didn't know anything. She's like, whatever, teenagers fight.
hmm.
She does not have time for that. Um, Also, it would have been like what 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, um, and then we go back to Pa, who has had like a mystery peer mentor this entire time, who's been like giving her gifts, and everyone's like, mentor's been hitting on you, whatever. And and she gets some handwriting from Ink, and she realizes that Ink is her peer mentor,
Oh my god.
which I would have been really excited for. Pa went like the exact opposite direction my brain went.
Oh yeah.
Like I'd have been like, oh, that's great. Like she's the one who's been flirting with me this entire time, and she took it as, oh, she was just being nice to me because she had to.
Yeah, I think that's also like
It's
understandable
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's definitely
assumption.
valid. It's just literally the opposite direction of
Yeah.
where my brain went.
Yeah, because she's just like, oh, like she's not flirting with me. The only reason why she's been like doing all this nice stuff for me is because she's obligated to. But you
Yeah.
can't deny that chemistry, girl. Don't doubt yourself.
No. Yeah. So she goes and finds Ink, and she's like, hey. I figured it out. You're my peer mentor, and it was like you don't have to be as nice as you've been to me anymore. We can just go back to like regular or whatever. It's fine. And Ink is like, what are you talking about? She's like, I had a fight to make sure that you were my mentee. Like literally the entire faculty, I had to fight
Uh-huh.
so I could be that. And this is basically her confession because she like kisses her on the cheek afterwards, which is like as far as like GL's got back then, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Like that was it. That's like is the peak affection.
Hmm.
Um, so they're now happy, and then Pat and Prawn are like buying food for something, and they run into Pat's parents, and his dad is no chill yet again, losing his shit in public of like, how dare you be like together? I knew there was something going on, whatever. Like, why are you friends? Whatever. And Pat is like livid. Like, Prawn has like gotten pushed off to the side and like half fallen down, and Pat is like near tears, and he's like, we're dating.
Hmm.
Which of course helps nothing, and the parents storm off, and Pat is like trying to console Prawn, who's like crying, and Prawn is like, you need to go talk to your parents right now.
Hmm.
And Pat's like, I don't give a fuck. Like, and Prawn's like, no, go. And so everyone goes home, and everyone's arguing. Pat is arguing with his parents. Prawn is telling his mother off, which is, that phone call must have been wild. They must have on the way home called her and been like, "You dumb," you know, like what have you done? You
Yeah.
know, whatever. 'Cause, like before Prawn can even get home, like his mom's already like up to date.
Yeah.
And so she gets mad, and Prawn like tells her off and storms off, and so she goes next door over to the others and tells them off, and that's where the truth comes out. Yeah, that's Pat's dad stole her scholarship because he wasn't already a terrible person. Um, and that's why she didn't get to go to the university, right? And his response was, "You don't understand the pressure my dad put me under."
Oh my god. At this point, I'm fully on Pran's mom's side. I'm like, okay,
For
I
real.
I give you a lot more wiggle room for all the shit you've done now, because that's rough. Because like
Yeah,
she's like straight up,
that's
she's like, I could not go to university because he stole my scholarship.
yeah, and it's like he took over the business from his dad, so he didn't really need to go get an engineering degree because that's what he did,
Yeah,
right? And it was like I could have actually used that degree and done something, but instead you took that away from me just so you can take your dad's business. Like,
yeah,
what?
not a good look.
No. And Pat is mad.
Mm-hmm.
he is he is not having it, right?
Yeah. Tension.
So then
I do
yeah.
really like how we like get into the family drama. I like how their parents are like real people. Like at least the two that we
Yeah.
focus on, like we get to know like I feel like a lot of times parents, they're just kind of like there. But
They're there to be annoying.
yeah. But this time like they're a bit more like complex and
Mhm.
like I like how that kind of connects with the whole family dynamic and stuff. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I will say I do. I think that's pretty cool.
Mhm.
But we got what I called the honeymoon episode because that's kind of what they
yeah.
referred to it the whole time. Um, Pat and Pran they run away together, so just all this.
It's the mature response.
Yeah, honestly, I kind of don't blame them because at this point it's like this is my parents' shit to figure out. You have to stop
yeah.
putting this on us. Like this literally has nothing to do with us. Like you guys need to solve your own shit because it's like affecting our lives. So
Mhm.
I'm like, if you're gonna run away together, I think that's kind of like a fair response.
Yeah. It's cute.
Yeah. And so they go to the beach. It's like the same beach that they went to for that or the architecture camp before.
mhm.
And of course they run into Uncle and then his son Junior. So they stay with them for the meantime. And of course, this whole time, so they're referring to this like beach trip as like their honeymoon, and you know, um, which is like it is kind of cute because like there's all this tense family stuff at home, but at least they're kind of like taking comfort in each other and making the best of it.
mhm. Yeah.
And there's this kind of whole plot line where like Junior is sulking because his parents are like divorced, so they have like split custody, and his mom is coming to like pick him up. And he like does not want to leave the beach area, and
Same.
yeah, and so like it's kind of a slightly similar parallel situation where his mom is trying to come pick him up so he because she's like, well, I want him to have like a better education and all that, like I want, so that's why I like need to bring him to the city even though I know that he loves it here, like I don't want to be the bad guy, I'm just trying to do what's best for his life. And this really kind of strikes a chord with Pran and like his mom and how it kind of
Yeah.
mirrors their relationship. Um, and also while they're there, they like help with the fish and they also kind of help with the Junior situation, which it's like it's kind of a learning moment for both of them where they're both kind of you know helping this child, but this child is also kind of helping them. So
Mhm.
and they're there for a couple days and they kind of debate whether they want to stay there permanently or not. Um, because Pat really wants to stay at least for a bit longer. He even like gets hired like a permanent job, like working at a bar. And so he's like, look, like
Mhm.
if we want to stay here, like we can, because like, I got a job. But Pran wants to leave, like, um, and so they're kind of like talking about it, and Pran's like, look, I'm not gonna let you leave alone, or I'm not gonna like leave you here alone. Like it's not a honeymoon if just one of us is here. So like he's like, well, we'll stay here together a little longer. Like if you need the space, like I'll stick it out with you.
I love
I
him.
know they're always stronger together, and I just
mhm.
love that. And they another night they're like sitting on the beach and they're just kind of like telling each other like why they like each other, and it's just very open and honest and sweet, and
mhm.
yeah, it's cute, and they like kiss and stuff, and then it's pretty much implied that like they have sex for the first time that night, but nothing is shown. It's kind of like cut away,
Yeah.
but it's
The next morning, how was
yeah,
I?
that's exactly how they do it. Rate me 1 out of 10, or rate me out of 10. Yeah. So it really is a honeymoon. So,
mhm.
and after this, Pat he says, he's like, okay, I'm ready to go home. I know that's like what you want. So we're only gonna stay one more night. Like I'll quit the bar job and stuff. And so yeah, it's kind of like, it's them like kind of compromising for each other. Like,
Mm-hmm.
one gives up this much, but then the other one gives up that much too, like later on. So
Yeah.
again, it's a healthy balance. And so like on their final night, they kind of talk with Uncle about his like zero waste project again, and a little bit about how like, oh, do you think like one man can change the world? Like there are like so many people litter. Do you like really think you're making a difference? I was like, that kind of, that could be metaphorical for
Yeah.
kind of their situation as well. And then like Pran performs his song. We get a little flashback montage, and they head home.
Mm-hmm.
And the mood is overall more hopeful and confident.
Yeah. I will say I cried with them because it's like them standing outside of their gates, like separately to go
Yeah.
home.
And they're like,
And
good luck, buddy.
yeah, the buddy killed me.
Yeah. uh, it's a beautiful episode. And then we get to episode 12.
It should have ended at
It
11.
should have ended there. And all right, that was Bad Buddy. Thanks for watching.
Yep, bye.
No, I don't understand. Okay, we'll go through it.
Yeah,
We didn't write down too
we'll
much
speed
notes
run
on
it.
this because, like,
It's
it
dumb.
is dumb. I honestly don't like the way the show's ended, but, um, we're 4 years in the future, first of all, which I don't love, like, big time jumps like that.
No.
And I also don't like how they always decide, like, the way we're gonna show you that these characters are 4 years older is that all of them are just gonna have them, like, slick back their hair.
Yeah.
Like, so all of them now have just, like, this greased back hairstyle. And it's like, okay, thanks.
Yeah. Apparently that's what happens when you get older in Thailand.
Yeah, you just keep the hair out of your face. Which, honestly, it might be, like, a more professional hairstyle and stuff, but it's just, like, funny how
Hmm.
immediately all of them are just, like, forehead. So we see that Pran is working. He's got like a nice ass office. It looks like everyone's speaking
Yeah.
English kind of, but I don't really understand. So I'm not quite sure what they're talking about, but
Yeah. They are words I understand, just not in that order.
yeah, it's like there's like a meme where in K-dramas they always cast some like white guy to speak English, but he's never an English speaker. So that's kind of like what it was as well. It's like, okay, I
Yeah.
could also use some subtitles, but it's not a big deal, whatever. Um
It's my favorite when they're in English and so they don't put the subtitles and I'm like, no, no, no,
Yeah.
please.
Like still, I always use the like closed captioning anyway.
Yeah.
Um so that's what he's doing. Pat, Corn, and Y, they meet up after work and we can see that they're all like really close now, like they're all really good friends. That's nice at least.
Yep. Yep. Something good.
Yeah. Pa is, I assume she's like graduated, so she's moving out of the dorm. I like to think she's moving in with Ink. I don't know if they said that, but I like to think that.
I don't think they did, but it would I mean Ink was there to help.
Yeah.
So they're at least still together, it seems.
Yeah.
So
And Pat,
the dumbest part of this episode.
I know. This is okay. So Pat goes to a class reunion. Also, Dunk is here. I just want to mention he was definitely here in the earlier episodes, but I didn't catch it. So,
Yeah, we think he was part of the band
hmm,
from like the flashbacks, but I don't remember that at all.
yeah, he's like their high school friends because it's like a high school class reunion. So, and Pran shows up at the reunion, and it's clear they're ignoring each other and they're like not together, which like broke my heart. Because you're at first you're like,
Yeah,
oh, they broke up in these 4 years. Like,
right?
what?
Like why is that the ending?
Yeah.
Like I need a happy ending.
Yeah, I know. And of course, like the high school friends, like they don't know that they even dated in college and stuff. So they're just like, oh,
Yeah.
look, it's your old rival, you know.
Yeah. Mhm.
And It's okay though, I guess, because they are together, but they're secretly together. Like,
I hate
I
this.
know. Apparently, they literally like go back in the closet. So after their like honeymoon trip, they tell their friends and family that they broke up, and the only people who know the truth is Y, Corn, Pot, and Ink. But everyone
Hmm.
else thinks they broke up. They just quite literally like go back in the closet.
Yeah, which is so dumb.
Yeah. It makes me so sad because, like, I feel like they made so much progress. We're like, okay, now all their friends are cool with it, their faculties are cool with it, parents not so much, but, like, I don't know. I felt like they kind of made a stand when they were like, you know what, our parents are not okay with us dating. Well, we're gonna go on a romantic vacation together because,
Yeah,
so,
but I mean, I guess it came down to for the yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have done it, but like for the sake of the parents, because they were never gonna be okay with it or something. I'm like, okay,
yeah.
then what you hide this for the rest of your life? You tell them they get over it, or they lose you. Like that's
Yeah, I know. I do think, like, I think it's understandable to an extent with the parents, where I do
yeah,
know, like, I've met people, like, when I was in college and stuff, where they were like, yeah, my parents are paying for my college, so I can't come out to them until after I graduate and I'm, like, financially on my own, because, like, they will cut me off. And so I
yeah,
think maybe that was kind of the justification that I could think of for doing that. But I don't think you have to like
yeah.
lie to all your friends and stuff still and like,
No,
you know?
they they're there to help you at that point. Hide the relationship,
Yeah,
you
they're
know?
like accomplices now.
Yeah, no, they're your alibis
hmm
for getaway trips and
Yeah,
whatever.
right. So, yeah, that's just like really sad to see them cuz like the whole time they were just so like they were fairly like open about their relationship. I mean, after they were like outed, of course, which is not good in
Why?
itself. Yeah. But
Ah,
like there was a scene earlier in the show where um like Pat tried to hold Pran's hand like in public, and Pran was like, "Oh, sorry." Like he kind of flinched and he was like, "Oh, sorry, I'm not like adjusted to this yet." And Pat's like, "Oh, it's okay, I can wait." And then Pran's like, "Oh, I'm adjusted now," and then just immediately starts holding hands and stuff. And so like,
hmm,
it is sad to see that they were at like some point like an open affectionate couple, and like now they're back in the closet and it's like 4 years later, so it's like
right?
they've been graduated from college like for 2 years now.
Mm-hmm. It's dumb.
Yeah. And they're also, I guess maybe this is one reason why they haven't told, I don't know, but after graduation, Pran went to Singapore to work for 2 years, so they've been doing long distance for the two
Hmm.
years. And he's not back fully, but he's just kind of visiting for a couple weeks. So,
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you're waiting till after college, then you kind of have to wait till after that too, because it doesn't really make sense to stir the pot and not be there and leave your other half to deal with it.
exactly, yeah.
So like, okay, okay. I don't like it, but like, okay.
Yeah, I can like see justification for it, but it is kind of sad. So,
Yeah. Because I mean, I guess part of the problem too is Pat is working with his dad.
yeah, that's true.
So,
That is kind of would inflect your employment, possibly.
yeah.
But
I mean, he has an engineering degree. He has to just,
yeah, he goes somewhere else.
go use it instead.
Yeah. But also, I guess in addition to their day jobs, Corn and Y run a bar together, and it's that one bar, of course. But
Of course it is.
yeah, and honestly, they were acting so coupley together. People,
They
me
were.
and other characters were like, "Are you guys dating?" And they're like, "No." They each had like girlfriends, but I was like, "I kind of see it. I kind of
Hmm.
feel it."
I would have accepted
I
it.
would have accepted it too. Give us more rivals to lovers, I guess.
I feel like if the show is made in 2025, we would have gotten that.
Yeah, probably. Remake. I'm just kidding. Don't touch this. Don't. No
No.
one can compare. Do not touch this.
No. I think Om Nanan is like the one fandom you don't mess with on this kind of stuff.
Oh
Like,
my god, no. I'm terrified of them. And I'm listen, I'm a fan too, but
Yeah.
I'm a chill fan.
Hmm.
But yeah, they also go to like their normal food cart spot, so it's just kind of nostalgia at this point. And they both go and like, separately visit their parents. And Pran gives Pat some like imported liquor from Singapore, and he's like, "Oh, give this to your dad. I think your dad will like it." And um, Pat like gives it to his dad, and you can see his dad's like pretty hesitant to drink it. I'm pretty sure he knows who it's from.
Yeah. Because Pat said it was just like a friend or something, right? Like
Yeah.
he didn't
No,
specify.
yeah, he was like, "Oh yeah, my friend brought this for you." But I assume Pat's dad maybe knows that Pran's in Singapore, and he's like, "Oh, it's Singapore liquor," because otherwise, there's no reason really for him to be so hesitant to drink it. But like
Hmm.
when the table clears and he's alone, he does take a sip, which I feel like is kind of symbolic of him accepting, beginning to
Yeah.
accept this kind of relationship.
All I can do is roll my eyes.
Yeah,
So
I
dumb.
know.
Like, you, sir, are the problem for this entire thing.
Yep.
Um,
I have like less empathy for him than
yeah.
normal.
Everyone else, I'm like, it's
Mm,
fine. Even why I forgave, but
yeah. Um, and then after that, Pat's dad, they get like Pran's family's mail in their mailbox, and so he goes like puts it back into the correct mailbox. Like it's like a kind gesture, and Pran's mom sees this, and it's kind of just like starting to build the bridges between the two families.
Finally.
Finally, Jesus. And Pat's Pat climbs of course across the roof to Pran's room, and he like falls and like makes a lot of noise. So Pat's parents notice what he's doing, and they don't really seem to care. Um, and then when they're like in like Pran's room, like singing and like they start like laughing a little too loudly, and now Pran's parents notice, and the dad kind of looks at the mom, but the mom just smiles. So it seems like,
Good for her.
yeah, it seems like they've kind of turned a new leaf and they seem
Yeah.
accepting. So
It's easy to infer that everything's gonna be fine.
yeah. And there's like a little epilogue scene where they're just kind of doing like drinking games on the rooftop, and it's really cute. And they're just like, if you get this question wrong, you have to take a drink. But then it's if you get this question wrong, you get a kiss on the cheek. And then it's like if you get this question right, like I'll let you do anything or something.
And it was so funny too because it was like, "What's my name?" And Pat's just laughing. He's like, "Really?"
Yeah, and then yeah, it gets a little out of hand and a little chaotic. It's the epilogue. I think I would cut out everything from episode 12 except the epilogue. We could
Yeah.
just episode 11 epilogue. There we go.
Yeah, because like the whole reunion thing where they're like depressed
Hmm.
and like they've broken up, and I'm like, what happened in 4 years?
I know. I was
Why did we
shocked.
time
I
jump?
was
Yes.
shell shocked when I was like, they broke up.
Yeah, like I'm sorry, this is not how these shows
Yeah.
end. Um,
Yeah, you can't do this to us.
but the show was so much fun to watch. It was so much fun to watch again as almost a complete fresh watch.
Yeah. We'll have to have you watched the R Sky episode?
I haven't. I haven't
Yeah.
watched any of
Okay,
them.
we'll have to do a whole R Sky episode sometime cuz this show Bad Buddy and Tale of a Thousand Stars, they get like it's like a mashup of the two of them. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
That's a weird
I know.
combo.
It's a weird combo, but it's like my two favorite shows at that time. So I was like,
Hmm.
okay, we ball, I guess. But yeah,
Yeah.
so they're
A
they're
Tale of a Thousand Stars is so good.
yeah. So there is like I mean it's kind of strange, but whatever. It's a little bit more content and that's kind of, the last we get
Yeah.
of them, but so yeah.
That made me
I
sad.
know.
The last we
I'm
get of them.
sorry. I
I don't like closure on characters. that I get really attached to. And then on top of that, when ships are no longer together.
I know. For what it, I mean, it's something where it's like I'm sad because it's over, but like I'm at least happy that it happened.
All right, Dr. Seuss.
I am kind of cat in the hatting it right now. If I had a,
That was that was our senior year quote.
was it
That
really?
was what was on our t-shirts. Yeah.
Aw, yeah. It this show, it's just magic. Honestly, I don't think anyone
Hmm.
else, any other actors, could have made the show as
No,
phenomenal as it is. I think I don't know. I think it's really just like it's something special.
I think Sky and Nani could do it now. I think.
You think?
I think so.
It's just like it's such big shoes to fill. So,
No, for sure. I They have, I would say, for the fact that they were in a bromance and not a
yeah.
BL, strong
Yeah.
chemistry.
And it's like Frenemy too, so kind of similar, but
Yeah, that's because that's when I started watching My School Frenemy or whatever it is, High School
yeah.
Frenemy. I was expecting Bad Buddy,
Mhm.
right? It's not Bad Buddy. It's friends to, or it's enemies to friends,
Yeah.
right? So it's same brand, but it's not the
Yeah.
same. But I I've been going through it with Sky Nani, right?
Mhm.
Since I watched High School Frenemy, I miss Saint Chin so much.
Yeah. I need to watch it still. Now I'm kind of in the enemies to lovers mood, so
I'm always in the mood for
me
enemies to
too. It is
lovers.
my favorite.
When they have to hang out and they hate each other is my favorite.
Yeah. This show is great too because it's like they are enemies, but I kind of like that in the beginning they're kind of just like, okay, we're sick of it.
Yeah, it's more
Yeah,
rivals to
it
lovers
is.
than enemies.
Yeah,
'Cause
and I haven't
like,
really seen that much.
yeah, 'cause it's not necessarily healthy competition, but it's you can tell where their hearts really are,
Yeah.
and it's even if it's not lovers in the beginning, it's we were forced into
Yeah.
this. So,
Yeah, this has got to be one of my favorite BLs, like top 3,
hmm,
honestly. Like it's so even if the plot isn't anything special, to be honest, ev
it's the
the
chemistry.
chemistry, the comedy, the romance is so good. It really brings it to life.
Yeah, I think I have found for me personally, I can forgive not having a strong plot
Hmm.
if the chemistry hits,
Yeah,
right? Like that's I think Love in the Air for me is that way too, right? Like the plot is what it
yeah,
is. But I think if you would put it like actors in there that don't have the chemistry that like Boston will have or Fort Pete, I don't think I'd like it nearly as much.
I mean, no, it has to be interesting in one way or another, and it's
Yeah.
totally valid, I think, for the interesting bit just to be like them playing or doing whatever they're
Hmm.
doing.
Yeah, when you get that like look from one of them where you're like, "Oh, I see what you're
Yeah.
doing."
And
It's you or
they're such good actors too. Like,
hmm.
yeah, like Nanan's eyes can communicate so
Yes.
much. And like, I don't know. And Om is just like he has so much like charisma just
Hmm.
in general. Like you just like really can't take your eyes off of him. So,
Yeah. I don't think I've seen anything else Nanon has been in.
I saw he was in The Gifted, which is not a BL,
Yeah.
but that was even older than Bad Buddy. Um,
I don't I don't think he does BL anymore.
no, I don't think he has since
Mm-mm.
being paired with Ohm, to be honest. Because they were kind of in
Yeah.
vice versa, like a little bit, but not really.
Yeah, 'cause then he was in The Jungle, which I've never even heard of, but this is I don't know who Lee is, but then it's got Mook in it
Oh,
and Chris.
oh.
Multiple couples, identical male twin, twin male. Wow. Playboy male lead. Okay.
Okay.
It looks like he plays twins. He has two names next to
Oh,
him.
okay.
Um, and then he was in My Precious last year, which is I think another like ensemble like school thing, whatever.
Yeah, I think he's mostly
Yeah,
doing
high
those.
school. And then he's gonna be in Scarlet Heart whenever that comes out. And I think he got the other one announced.
Yeah.
I love a lot of you that he got announced in, which is a him in mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, but Ohm does BL still.
Mhm.
Ohm was in Kidnap with Lang. Ohm will be in Only Friends Dream On apparently. Um, can't wait.
Yeah.
Um, he's also gonna be in the Mute Love, but I don't think that's a BL role.
Yeah, we'll see. I think every
Um,
couple's different in that show, so.
yeah. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
Kidnap with Ohm and Lang is fun too.
I
That's,
keep meaning to watch that. So,
I mean, your list of what you need to watch just based on what I've recommended at this point is like a mile long.
it's so much honestly, and I keep like doing other shit in the meantime, but
Which is
yeah,
fair.
it's fair.
It's good to have multiple hobbies and not just fixate like
I
I do.
know, too many
Um,
hobbies.
because my vote would be to watch Until We Meet Again in Between
I
Us.
know that one too. Uh,
Because like I don't you don't really need to watch Until We Meet Again to watch Between Us,
yeah.
but I feel like it explains some of the characters a little better
Yeah.
because they just don't explain them; they're just there.
Yeah. I
So
probably will just watch them in order anyway.
yeah, so
But yeah.
yeah. Well, that was Bad Buddy. Um, I think as far as shows go, I think that was a good one to kick off for season
Yeah.
two. Um, it's a little silly that we're 4 episodes in before we get to it, but that's fine.
Yeah.
We had a lot of other
We had
stuff to
other
talk
things
about.
going on.
Um, so I guess any other thoughts? Or are we good?
That's all I had.
Yeah, that's the the balcony, the rooftop scene, and then the stair scene is just peak BL for me.
Yeah.
Um,
I love the rooftop scene I think of all the time.
yeah, if you talk to anybody about rooftops and BL, that's the scene that will come up
Y-
for all of them. I
Yeah, I
guarantee it.
think they kind of made it their
Um,
trademark in this show.
yeah. It's definitely what every other rooftop kiss scene gets compared
Yeah.
to. 'Cause there's been a few
Yeah.
others. Um, but I guess to wrap, you can find us in all the usual spots. Instagram and TikTok, since we still have TikTok, is BL or dot in dot the dot air. Um, Twitter is BL in the air. We have a Discord. The links to all of that you can find in our link tree in the description. But also, we're streaming on Spotify and Apple Music, video on Spotify, and we are posting everything with video on YouTube now. Um, yeah, check us out. Come hang out, come talk, whatever. I am always looking for more people to talk about endless BL with. Um, as I gossip about whatever Jung has tweeted out today or Mech. So we'll catch you next week. Bye.
Bye.